Every time zone. Hello, friends, wherever you are and whatever you're doing. Thanks for joining us for the stream this morning.
Yeah.
It's exciting because we have Mr. Kennedy.
Yeah.
You may know him from the Talk Python podcast. I know him as a friend and as a fellow speaker. We met back in 2015 at Dev Week. We're just discussing that, how time flies. And I remember I met him, I think it was right after my session, which was a major failure. I was demoing .NET Core back in the day. And I mean,
that's
sitting
some early days for .NET Core.
Yeah, man, the very early days. I was still K commands. So I had run all my demos. I was ready. I had done my prep just before I walked into my session. And because .NET Core was so popular back then, I had a packed room, like 300 people sitting down. I had the original Microsoft director sitting there in the front, and obviously pressure. So I did all my demos on my Surface, if I remember correctly. And then for the last 10 minutes, I said, we're gonna switch to my Mac, and I'll show you how you can run .NET on the Mac. And everybody's like, yeah, let's do this. So I switched machines halfway through the talk. Don't do that. That's not a clever advice, you know. Anyway, I went ahead and did it, and then I run the command. So it was like K build or K new or whatever it was back then. I can't even remember. And I run the website, and suddenly I get an error message, a horrific error message saying, found duplicate paths to home. I was like, what the hell is this? Like, I never, like, so what happened? Just to cut it short, I blanked out for 5 minutes. Everybody's like, you've done this. Everybody was hiding from, and I blanked out. I just focused on the code. Don't do that if you're speaking. I didn't take any advice. I was trying to sort it out myself, and I was like, I'm giving up. And then that was the highlight of my talk. I failed miserably. I barged into the speaker's room. Mr. Kennedy sitting down there. I'm like, man, I failed my talk. He's like, well, what did you do? And then I worked it out within 2 seconds. It was I had already done my demo, so I already had a website in that directory. And when I created another website inside the same website, so I had 2 websites running inside the same directory. So when you try to navigate to home, or when you launch a .NET Core app, it tries to find the path to home, and found 2 different home views. I was like, which one should I choose? So it was a perfectly valid error message. I was stupid because I was freaking out. It was my first big session. And Mr. Kennedy was so cool and calm. I was like, man, chill out. There's nothing wrong there. We can work it out. And then
that's how it goes.
Friendship. And you almost converted me to Python that day. He was like, have you thought about Python for C# developers? Because that was the session that you were doing.
I think that was the reason I was there. I have spoken over at that conference on straight .NET topics.
Yes.
But yeah, that time I was there to speak about Python. That was great. I think I remember that. You know, those speaker rooms, you see a different side of all those presentations. You see the nerves, you see the elation, you see the shell shock, you see it all.
Well, I was surprised because that was my first ever big conference, the first one. Like I was doing user groups before because I was very new into the speaking scene, and walking out in that room, all the lights on you, and 300 people sitting down. It's a daunting feeling if you haven't done it before, if you don't have the experience. So nerves and lots of things can go wrong there, but I survived, and it was a good lesson. But anyway. Yeah. I met you, and it was fantastic because we've been on and off ever since. Like we almost managed to. I think I almost got to work for you. Remember?
Yeah. We almost back at Developmental. We almost got some stuff working together over there. That would have been fun, but you know what? Looking back right now, in-person training, which is what that was all about, is
yeah.
I'm glad to be doing stuff on the internet these days because it's a wild, wild world.
It is, and you have some amazing online courses. I was looking at the Python stuff that you got out there, and it's absolutely stunning. Let share the URL later so other people can see. If you want to get started with Python, then Michael has put some amazing content together for anyone getting started over to very complex stuff. So highly recommend it. Check it out.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Yeah. Thank you.
So
today.
Yeah. So today. I guess a few announcements. Let's see. We are not doing a show on Thursday, correct?
That is correct. So, today is our last day of our old schedule.
Yeah.
So Mr. Kennedy is the one that is going to take us to the new era of Mondays and Fridays from now on at 8 a.m. So more reasonable times. So sorry, Michael, to drag you off your bed at 7 a.m. in the morning to do this stream. But,
all right.
You're the last one. So
it's a reasonable time somewhere in the internet, I'm sure.
Yeah, for somebody.
Our,
So
Like
our UPC friends.
Oh, and yeah, thanks Bolt for telling us we need to update our schedule because we do. So one of our viewers, Bolt, one of our regulars, he or she, did his dissertation in Python. It was agent-based modeling, geosurveillance of individuals in a CCTV controlled area based on social media psycholinguistic profiling.
Are you for real, Bolt IO? Because I only got like 3 words from there.
Yeah, I mean,
and what is this? Like, tell us what it is, because now I'm super curious. Like,
that's fascinating.
Based modeling.
So basically,
geosurveillance of individuals. Obviously, I get that one.
So
and CCTV is insane. Like in the UK, you can't walk. I think UK has the biggest coverage of CCTV footage from anywhere in the world.
So is that like saying? Is that like saying that based on my social media posts, you know what area I will be in to look for me on CCTV? That's what it sounds like. I don't know. It's pretty fascinating, but that's the thing. That's the thing I kind of noticed about Python was I did a bunch in college. That was like they were teaching Python in my programming classes, and since then. It seems like Python is quite universal. A lot of people use it for a lot of different things. But one of the things I always jumped out was how many folks use it who are not software engineers by trade. They're geologists or scientists or doctors or there's something else, and they're using Python to make their jobs, make them better, faster, stronger at their own jobs and get work done.
You want to hear the craziest, the most, I guess, distance from what you would call a computer scientist that I've seen people doing stuff that's amazing like that.
Go on.
I spoke to a guy named Cornelius, who's a professor in the Netherlands, and he is a medieval Islamic philosopher. So he studies philosophy from the Middle Ages on these handwritten scrolls, and he uses Python and computer vision to analyze and attribute authorship to the works that he's studying. Like,
nice.
Who would think you're doing like machine learning and computer vision as a philosopher? There's thousands of stories like this.
Yeah,
it's so
that
neat.
is insane.
That's what seems like so cool about Python, though, is that it has that. Like, you could ask if you ask 100 Python developers, "What do you do?" How many of them would self-identify as, "Well, I'm a software engineer," or "I'm a software developer"? I don't think it's as many as other places. Like, C#. God, we just struggle to get a website going, and we're proud of ourselves. I mean, this guy's analyzing, thousands of year old scrolls with, But I can't imagine he would identify as a software engineer because he's not shipping software.
I would
right?
think not.
So it's kind of neat because the Python community just seems super super diverse, but also has a ton of just interesting problems to solve that people are solving with Python, I guess I should say.
Yeah. I think the magic, the reason that happens is you can be very successful in Python with a quite partial understanding of what Python even is.
Yeah.
Right. You can just go and write, 10 lines of code. You don't even put them in a function. It's just do these 10 things in order.
Yeah.
You're getting pretty good results, but you're far from even knowing what a function is, what unit testing is, what classes is, what generator, on and on and on. You don't know any of those things, but you're still successful. And I think that's partly why so many people come to it from these other areas, because they can focus on just enough to make it work.
Yeah.
And there's a good community, right? So if you're looking for stuff, there's a good community out there that you can find these kind of prefabricated solutions to what you're looking for, and you can tweak them slightly. And I will have to agree with El Capitan Squirrel, who commented out that the tides are shifting and everyone will be some form of software engineer in their life. I mean, you can't do a job today without really touching a PC. It's crazy, right? From manufacturing all the way to medieval science and philosophy.
Medieval Islamic philosophy,
yeah.
Because you need to process data, and modern life is all about data. So the best way to process data is to use computers, because you can't sift through data quickly as yourself. So it is the reality of life. You need to have good IT skills as you walk out into the employment world to be able to be successful. So
I think some guy up in Redmond said something like, every company is a software company. His name's Satya or something. Maybe you know. Yeah.
Every company is a software company with a side business. Yeah, like When I was in the UK, I worked with a very large variety of customers as a consultant, and JP probably has the same experience. But like one of our biggest Azure customers in Europe was a clothing company that ran entirely on the web. They didn't have any hardware stores. They didn't have the brick and mortar kind of experience, and they were, addressing the younger generation, so the 18s to 25, if I remember correctly, because these are the people that buy online. They never had a store, but they are so successful in their business by just using the cloud. And like they had more software engineers, because I walked into the store, they had models that were walking around to go and do photo shoots inside the same premises, but they had this entire floor that were managing their IT infrastructure. It's just insane to see how many.
That's super neat. Yeah.
Python. I haven't touched Python. I've done printf. I've done a couple of tutorials. With my daughter, I was trying to get her off the code.org, because you start with code.org, which is like a drag and drop experience, and then there's the option to move into coding. I was like, you know what? If I were starting today, I would love to start with Python. It's simple enough to start, but not as crazy as JavaScript. And correct me if I'm wrong.
I would absolutely start with Python. It's become the most popular first computer science course foundation, I think, ousting Java finally at U.S. universities and whatnot. So yeah, if you guys want a recommendation for younger people getting into like early programming, so many of these things are, the blocky style of programming. You put the loop block in and you stick in the details you're going to put inside the loop and all that. There's a place called Code Combat, codecombat.com, and it's a dungeon. Like it's got worlds, and each world has a dungeon, and each dungeon has like 40 programming problems to like defeat the monster, to get the key, to go along. And what they've done really, really well is they've reinterpreted they put something in between the Python execution parser bits so that it understands your intent even if the code is wrong. And the autocomplete for the editor is insane. Like if you have to say something like hero.move right, if you just type the letter R, it'll autocomplete hero.move right.
Nice.
and so you don't really have to be able to type. You could just like do like hunting and pecking and touch a letter or two, but it'll like, it's like the blocky stuff, but it has this cool dungeon thing that's animated, and you actually write real code, which I feel like there's a big gap between.
Yes.
Yeah.
Like, you've done blocky. Now it's like super hard. There's like no middle ground, and this is like so easy. My daughter just loved it when she was 10 or so.
Yeah, because with code.org, you can do the blocky, and then you can switch to the code, and the code is all JavaScript. And it's like,
exactly.
Well, I know JavaScript, but it's not something that I would encourage a young person to write. So a 6-year-old, a 7-year-old, it'd be very hard to move into that kind of notion. And the problem with JavaScript is that it's great to start, but you can do so many mistakes and so hard to do IntelliSense, like you said before. I will definitely have a look at the Code Combat stuff.
Yeah. It's also interesting because it's executing Python in the browser, like kind of like Blazor, but through the old school ASM.js mode.
Oh, wow. I'm going to show this to my son because he's 7, and we've been, he's starting to ask a whole lot more questions, and he's got all sorts of like logic games and things that his school gives him, and he just loves them. Like he sits up there and he plays with them, and we talk about them and stuff. And he's got this, it's like a ladybug on a mat, and the ladybug has this remote control, but you get a card and it says, all right, you're starting from square 1 and you need to get to square, 17, right? And you have you have this remote control and you have to program the robot to go whichever directions it needs to, and because there are barriers and stuff to make it from square 1 to, wherever. And he just loves it. I mean, he'll sit up there and play with it
That's
forever.
Cool.
So I'll be curious to see now that he's getting a little bit older if there's other stuff. You get them closer to actual programming, right?
Yeah, this co-combat type thing is exactly the right next step.
Yeah, awesome.
Nice.
Cool.
Yeah, cool. I'm gonna check it out. So what are we doing today? Are we we're gonna do some Python and some B2C?
Do you guys do stuff with identity?
Sometimes.
Sometimes.
Occasionally. when we've run out of other things.
With identity. You guys do a lot more stuff with identity than I do, but I do a lot of Python. So we're going to join forces, and we're going to add some sign-in with Azure AD to an existing Flask Python web application.
Nice.
Yeah. Yeah. So, Christos, you spoke about there being a bunch of libraries you can use. You guys have NuGet, right, over in your world.
Yes.
In the Python world, it's called PyPI, Python Package Index, and they've got 267,000 projects at the moment, libraries you can use.
Nice.
It's a good chunk. I know NuGet has a ton as well. So this site over here, without this survey thing, which is temporary, but over here about the login and register, I did a course where we rebuilt this website from scratch in Flask.
Nice.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah, it was really fun. So, what we're going to do is we're going to take that clone of this website.
Yep.
And the one, see this one, similar. It just has a login, username, and password, and we're going to add in the ability to not just log into like a local identity store in the local database, but something through AD.
Nice.
Yeah.
Now, there's remember we talked about two flavors, right? So Azure AD is the one flavor which allows you to do organizational logins, right? So if you have a tenant, if you're an organization and you want people to sign in, then you will be using Azure AD. So if you have a company called Kennedy, then everyone with a Kennedy account will be able to log in. Or you can create a multi-tenant one. Let's not touch that one. The other option is the business to consumer option. So Azure AD business to consumer, which allows external people or random people to come and sign in. So as a developer, I want to log in and upload a package. I suspect that this is the scenario that we tend to
that
cover.
probably
right?
that probably makes more sense. So we should go through that one.
Okay. So Azure AD B2C. And
Yep.
B2C is sort of it's what we use for consumer facing, but it doesn't have to be consumer facing. Maybe the C in there probably stands more for customer facing than anything else. So if you need somebody to log in and you want to give them a username and a password, like they just create one, just like what they're doing today.
Yep.
And then there are a bunch of social providers too. So if we want to add, a GitHub login or Facebook or Twitter or something like that, one of their social accounts, we can do that too. And where in your app today, or in the PyPy clone, where are your usernames and passwords stored? Are they just in a database somewhere?
Yeah, they're just stored in a local database. So probably the first step would be to just get that thing up, and we can do a quick look at how the user details are managed there, and then we can.
Yeah, that would be a good idea. See what the current process is.
Yeah, and then I had up this quick start for how to add that sign in that we're talking about, so we can sort of follow along and add those pieces to the app.
All right.
Yep.
Cool.
So let's do this. So
I like how you're using DuckDuckGo. Nice.
Yeah,
Are you happy with that browser?
This is a very new thing I'm trying. I'm trying to step away from Google a little bit more. So I've been using Firefox for a while. I'm also have Edge installed, but right now I'm using Firefox. But yeah, I just switched to it. It takes some getting used to, but getting there. I'm happy in principle. How's that?
How are you finding the indexing for coding results? Because I know, for example, Bing and Chrome sometimes, Bing and Google tend to return slightly different results when it comes to looking for codes. So you need to know what you're looking for. I think Chrome is a little bit more forgiving and better indexing stuff. Although I've been using Bing for the last 6 years now, so I wouldn't know. But there are occasions where I would jump into Google just to see if there's different results on something I'm looking for. So is DuckDuckGo fairly good with results?
I tried it like 3 or 4 years ago. I'm like, I can't take this big of a productivity hit, to be honest. But now, now I feel like it's closer. It's closer. Good. So yeah. All right, so let's. I'm gonna just start from scratch here. Just gonna go grab out of the pub. So this is a public GitHub repo that people can get access to, right? Just github.com/talkpython.
Yep.
Kind of crazy that GitHub's a Microsoft these days, right?
Yeah.
That's pretty.
I tend to forget as well sometimes.
Very clever move. Okay, so let's clone that. And something like put it in just PyPI like that. Now, like all the Python things that have external dependencies, you want to set up a virtual environment. So this is kind of like .NET Core, where you can do like a local Xcopy style, like install the dependencies so it doesn't affect your global system. So we want to go in here, and in this, there's like a bunch of different versions, like stages of the app, and we're just going to go to the last one that has the relational database. There's another MongoDB one that's it's not worth going into. It's fun, but there's like, you got to have Mongo running and stuff. Whereas this other one, it uses a built-in database.
Oh, nice.
It uses SQLite. So like that's actually compiled into Python. So if you have Python, you can't not have that database, and it doesn't require setting up a server. So anyway, it's the simplest thing.
So built into the framework, right? So you have all the APIs and libraries you need to interact with the SQLite database. Is that correct?
Yes, exactly.
Nice.
Yeah, we're using some libraries on top of it to make a nice ORM with migrations and stuff, as we'll see in a second. But yeah, okay. So the way we always do this is create a virtual environment, and then you give it a name. Confusingly, they're almost always the same name. This is the command. This is the folder.
Okay.
But these are also out of date a lot of times. And so what I end up doing is I end up creating a shortcut or an alias called VNV that says run that command and then enable it, which redefines your path basically to be. So if you say Python or pip or the tooling, it refers to the local one, and then it upgrades all those to the favorite file destination.
Very nice.
So anyway, we'll run that one because it just makes life a little easier. Then we wait because it's downloading and updating pip, the installer tool.
Is it the same as Node, that you download half the internet every time you do a dependency tree download?
It's not nearly as bad as Node. So for example, we only have like these two things installed, which are basically the bootstrapping things to install other things.
Sweet.
And then we have some libraries that we're using. This is a pretty complicated app, so there's a lot of libraries. We don't need to know about most of them.
No, we can ignore it.
But we're going to run things like set up some stuff for testing and migrations, and then some things like Flask and SQL Alchemy with the ORM and so on. So
I like how the Python ecosystem is using like specific words that are built around that ecosystem. Flask, and it's crazy, right? I love that and I think it's only Python that does it, or maybe Ruby as well have something similar.
Yeah, they have some really like fun and creative names. Like like Flask is like a server. The server fills the Flask and things like that. That's right. We're using this passlib one, which is interesting for like the local identity stuff.
Right. So, and we'll have to change that to be a different OpenID library, right? As we're talking to.
Exactly. So we're going to change that login. That's the focus of it, basically, right?
Very nice.
You also have fun names like It's Dangerous. So this is like an input sanitizer, right? So people are trying to hack your site, like it'll canonize it and stuff like that. So
very nice. Escaping bad characters, I like it. Exactly.
So now what we need to do is we need to open this in some kind of editor. Like we could just run it.
Feel free to use whichever editor you like. We're very open.
So I'm trying to remember how I wrote it. If I can run, pretty sure this will work. So here we have it running. You can see it's connected to our little database over here. Mm-hmm. Now our database is going to be empty.
Yep.
As we'll see, we'll fix that in just a second. It's super easy. But ta-da, look at that.
Check that out.
Cool. Nice.
Almost indistinguishable.
Yeah.
We'll start sending people here to...
Except there's no survey.
Yeah, exactly.
And no projects.
Yeah, there's a few missing projects. So all right. So enough command line for the moment. Let's
I mean, technically, you can easily fake that, right? You want some random numbers there. You change the URL to almost look like the real one, and you have yourself a nice.
And you can get like 3 rounds of seed funding with this, just as it is right now.
I'm pretty sure. Yeah, you want to quit our jobs, and we could just go like work on this.
Is PyPy2.org available?
Exactly.
The bestest version of PyPy.
Yeah, we could have a .com. We could try that one. Yeah, it's better though. I actually wrote a script that went and downloaded like all 200,000 package, like the real data for those packages, so we could have it look fully legit.
Nice.
All right, so let's open this up.
Did you write that script in Python?
I did.
Nice.
Do you even have to ask? I mean, I was actually forming that question as you were saying it, Michael, but then I was like, obviously, I don't even have to ask.
Obviously.
Can you imagine writing it? I don't know. By the way, I was in the office yesterday. I had to go and print out some stuff. I haven't been in the office in a very long time. So I had to go through these kind of a form. You have to self-attest that you're not sick or whatever. I was still wearing a mask. And there was a lone book on the shelf in the printing room. And it was a Perl book. I was like,
wow.
Taking a picture of that. Who is using Perl? And
that's a blast from the past, yeah. I remember .com days, 98, 1999. Talking to some guy who was doing Perl at mp3.com.
Boy, there's a whole lot to unpack in that sentence. that's like
a lot going on.
It's a nostalgia overshare all in one. Amazing, you put 5 words together, and they end up taking you straight back to 1997.
It's right.
I'm a little bit sad that I missed that era. Because I went to university in 2001, so I skipped over that, the internet bubble and the 2K fever and, the panic and all that.
Yeah.
Slightly upset at the same time.
It's kind of funny, though. I don't mean to distract us with a squirrel, but it is kind of funny. So I was born in 85. So I'm 35. My wife's 40, right? So we're 5 years apart. And it's amazing the difference because... Like, when I met her, she's like, well, I didn't have a computer till I was in college. And I was like, well, my dad bought us a computer when we were, like, 10, And, like, Napster, and, like, we got cable internet when I was, 14 maybe, and we were, like, the big guys on the block with our 5 megabit download, And so it's just kind of neat how, like, I was surprised at how different sort of experiences were. Just from a 5-year gap. Like when I met her, her cell phone was totally optional. She's like, well, I bought a laptop in college, but I didn't really need one. And now, I mean, they're sitting at home an iPad with my 7-year-old for first grade. Like it's just crazy how I don't know, just very different. Like I couldn't have imagined going to college without a laptop. So
I went, excuse me, I went without a laptop. Yeah, it was crazy. I'm, a few years older than your wife, but not a ton. And I remember we got 2 phone lines so we could dial up. People on the internet, man.
Yes.
Oh yeah.
Yep. I remember my buddy
asking your parents to get off the phone so you can download an MP3. I remember I was downloading an MP3 which was I think 6 megabits, and it took me a day to download.
It takes forever.
I'll tell you, the convergence of Napster getting really hot and us getting cable internet at the same time, man, it was done. Like I've still got a disc.
Oh yeah.
I've still got like a Max Tor external hard disk full of MP3s that were downloaded during the Napster days. Man, those were awesome days.
Those were crazy times.
Anyway, sorry. Proceed.
No, that's some good nostalgia right there. That's solid. All right.
We have
so I'm gonna open
on the chat saying he had to hand deliver packets up the hill, both ways.
Snow.
Back in his day.
Exactly. Using sneakernet. Come on. As in walking with your sneakers. All right. So I'm going to run this to PyCharm because I know it better. I also use VS Code, and I think if you ask people in the Python space, those are the 2 editors that are absolutely interesting in people. That's where the gravity is, let's say. So I always ask at the end of my podcast what editor you use to give a sense of people, kind of for people where that current is flowing. And yeah, it's these 2, and I would say VS Code is almost maybe more popular at this point, but I know how to run the tools for this one, so let's stay focused on the APIs. I'm going to open this one over here.
By the way, we are working with the the JetBrains guys to bring Azure AD and Azure Identity into the editors. So if you're using Rider today,
nice.
we've already built that, and there's a whole slew of updates coming in the coming months. So if you are a JetBrains fan, then we have stuff for you as well.
Yep.
Nice. Yeah. I mean, Rider is definitely, where's my Rider? Rider is definitely a sweet .NET thing. Although I don't use it that much. I use Visual Studio Code on my Mac for building our mobile apps for the training company where people take courses, right? So you can like download them offline and watch them better on your iPad or your Samsung Tab or whatever you got. And so we actually build our Xamarin apps on Mac for deploying.
Nice.
Oh, you guys are doing Xamarin? Nice.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Nice.
Of course. Yeah. So let's see over here. What do we got going on? It looks like it's knowing some stuff. It knows that the templates files are over here. Like how about that? Here's a login HTML template and so on.
Okay.
It doesn't know how to run it, and for some reason, PyCharm goes back and forth between auto-detecting that environment that I've created and not auto-detecting it, and then halfway detecting it. Right now, it's in the pendulum swing of half detecting, I believe. Let's find out. So you can see down here that says no interpreter. So if I click this, it has a bunch of options that are irrelevant to me from other projects. And I can click add interpreter. But notice it's detected the local one. No, it used to actually use that one when it detected it. But anyway, so we got to add this or it won't be able to run anything. Now you can see down here, you can see that it's found that virtual environment, and you can ask which Python. It's that one. You can pip list, see that your Flask and stuff is installed and so on.
Cool.
Yeah.
All right. Cool. So we still need to run it. So I'm going to go over here and just right click and say run the app. And we're back. It restarts it so it can run in a debug mode. So it'll do things like auto restart the app if it sees you've edited a config file. That's what you see
nice.
sort of pop up twice.
There's a watcher.
So
Very nice.
Yeah, so I went over here and I put like hit save. Did I do it? Did it work? Maybe it didn't. I could be wrong about that. I did turn some of the stuff off, but it seems to say it's in debug mode. Yeah, it should be watching. Anyway.
I like the thing that pops up at the bottom. What is that? Is that a tool for on your Mac?
Oh, yeah. This is actually no. Now it did detect the change. I don't know why. For some reason, it has some latency or something in there.
It's like every keystroke that you do is coming up on the bottom.
Yeah. Watch this. Even if I click rerun, you can see it'll show the command to rerun the app.
Oh, nice.
So
what is that?
Yeah.
That is if you go over here to the plugins.
It's a plugin.
It's a plugin, and it's called Presentation Assistant.
Oh, nice. That's cool.
Very nice.
I used to have something like this for Visual Studio, the Windows full Visual Studio version.
Oh, that's cool.
But yeah, it's fantastic for presentations, both online and whatnot. So also it's good for learning. Like if you want to know, what the heck is this? Like git pull. You can see it says Command T, but if I just click that thing, it'll automatically show you what all the OS hotkeys are for it.
Very nice.
Yeah, that thing's pretty sweet. All right, so we have our app running, but if you go to it just like before, you would see that there's no project. So just let me run a real quick script to generate that. Over here, this can load data. It's not really super relevant what it does.
216,000, right?
It's only for the sake of sanity. It only loads 96 projects apparently. But then we come down here, we could see, okay, let's see what's in here. This pexpect. So apparently this is the module for spawning child expectation applications and controlling and stuff about them. And we can go to this homepage, which
like a proper functional one. I love it.
Yeah, apparently its homepage is slow.
Apparently
But
so,
let's find another. Whose homepage is not slow. Let's go to gEvent. Maybe gEvent's homepage works better. No, they're all slow, but you see it. I can see it trying to go to gEvent.org. Anyway, so here's our app, and you can see it's running on localhost.
Okay.
And we could go log in, or we can register. I'll go ahead and register. If I could spell my name. I almost had it. It was so close. When I'm doing these kind of demos, my favorite password is a lowercase letter a, but there is some validation here. So it says you must have at least 5 letters. So how many A's? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 A's. There we go.
See, this is precisely why we want people to use external identity systems.
Look, I don't see what you guys are laughing about. It requires a strong password.
Yeah, the attack vector on 5 characters.
You need at least 32. Hold the A key down for at least 4 seconds. That's what the validation is now.
Exactly. All right. So welcome to your account. No, the account side of this thing is super non-functional because this is a fake site built during a course. But you can see now that we're here, we could log out. We could go back over and log in. We could put something wrong. It says no. We put our 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 A's, and then we're logged in. Okay. So the functionality is here for us to have this. And what we want to do is replace this with some B2C Azure magic.
Yes.
Yeah. But before we do, let's just look real quickly at the code here, how all this is happening. So let's start, maybe work our ways through the shell of web apps, right? And that how web apps go. There's like, have to know like 5 programming languages and all these tiers and stuff. But all right. So we come over here. And
I see you have views and view models. I assume that Flask supports an MVVM kind of approach or MVC. Is that the case?
It supports it, but it doesn't encourage it.
Okay.
Flask drives me a little bit crazy in this regard, in that if you go to the tutorial, what they say is, okay, what you do is you create an app.py and you put your stuff in there. I'm like, whoa. What kind of madness is going to make me
Just stick everything in the startup. There you go.
Exactly. Right. Like, why not program.cs for every bit of code? Like, that seems like a good idea. All right. I mean, that's the equivalent.
One main method.
So you can see that I'm very much not a fan of that. So we've got like a database access layers. We've got like an ORM layer. Like, it supports it, but it's just not in the culture. And honestly, like we talked about VS Code and PyCharm, I believe my theory, although it's based on just guesses and observation, my theory is in the early days, a lot of the people doing Python were doing it in terminal-based editors like Emacs or Vim. And in those worlds, having all this structure is a pain in the butt, right? How do I navigate through this and that when it's in the terminal, and like, what's the relationship? I can't just like hotkey click around, like navigate, do all these things, right? Like, so why not just put it in one file? Then you can just do like a little search within the file, and you can write it, and that's fine for like a little demo, but it's not fine for a proper app. So anyway, this one's a little more structured, right?
Very nice.
Yeah. So you can see the view models here. So register. This just gathers data from the form, and here's where the magic is. Okay. Go create the user. Yep. So we can go down to this thing. And it creates an ORM object, sets its values. A lot of times it's just easier to store the straight password, but I went a little crazy and decided to not put the straight password here.
Thank you. Thank you. Even for sample apps, because, it may sound weird, but people stick something on the internet, like you put it on GitHub, somebody finds it, they download and they put it into a production system somewhere in some company. Without really validating anything, because people that are new into programming, they will not check it. Like, oh, it works.
People who are,
it does what I need.
That's not exclusive to people who are new to programming.
Sorry,
everybody.
I found something on the internet. I'll stick in there.
What could possibly go
there are
wrong?
examples on every language. So thanks for doing the good thing, even if you're using a lot.
Absolutely. And so then the ORM has a very entity framework style model. It uses the unit of work design pattern, although the terminology is called session. It's still just a unit of work. So create this user object, add it, commit it to the database, close it out, even if that didn't work, and it's good. It's really worth maybe just quickly mentioning here that we're not just hashing the password with like MD5 or SHA-512 or whatever. We're using this thing called passlib, which up at the top, you can see passlib SHA-512. That's the crypto provider we're using. And then down here, when you say encrypt, it's going to hash it, of course, but it's also going to add random salt associated with that individual request, and then it's going to iterate, take the output and feed it back to itself, and take the output and feed it back to itself. What is that? In Python, we can do this.
171,000 times only. Just
exactly.
Like how you're with a round number, like not 170,000 exactly. It's 171,204. Now I've done it with Bcrypt before, and I remember they have this kind of a similar approach in .NET. Bcrypt is, I don't think it's just .NET. There's a sim for .NET. And I remember I went from like 5 rounds to 10 rounds, and then it just ground my CPU to a halt when you do that. So just be careful about the numbers you choose. I was going to ask that, but in Bcrypt, it made a huge difference going through different rounds of how do you call it, like hashing or whatever,
iterations or something.
Yes. So it was insane how much CPU capacity it took just to fold over the password. So just be careful with the number you choose.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, we could use Bcrypt as well. The only reason I didn't do Bcrypt is it requires an extra step in installing because it's got some C dependencies you've got to put in, and it makes it harder for people to download and run this app. So I'm like, all right, I'll just use like SHA-512 is good enough if you're doing that many times. Yeah. And so that's a really good point. Basically, the way I figured out what that number should be is I said I wanted to take 1/10 of a second.
Nice.
And it doesn't matter if it's successful or not successful. It just how many times does it take? You want this trade-off of if you're going to try to log in and you get it wrong, how long is how computational do you want it to make it be to guess? But you don't want it to drag your site down. I'm going to make it so secure. It's going to be 7 million. Like, one person can log in at a time.
But it's secure.
So, anyway, All right. So, and then just to round this out, I guess, to verify it, you've got to redo all that in reverse. You got to figure out how many rounds it is. You got to figure out what the random salt was, and then you've got to do that again and see if it matches. So, like, this is the call to log someone in, basically.
Very nice. 2 one-liners, and you're done, more or less.
Yeah, that's Python style right there. Mm-hmm. Okay, so this is what we got. This is what we're working with. We've got this user service that can create users or log in users, seeing those 2 pieces that we just saw. We've got these views that have URLs over to them. So, and also HTTP verbs, right? Here's the one for showing the form. Here's the one for processing the form. Mm-hmm. And so I think if there's no questions or whatever, we can move on to taking the steps towards adding that B2C Azure stuff.
Yeah. Cool. So the first step, obviously, is to have a B2C tenant, which most people tend not to when we go on the stream. So you need to go into your Azure portal. And I checked with you yesterday. Like, do you have an Azure portal? Because if you don't have, by the way, B2C is free to run for the first 50,000 users. So
nice.
It's free to use, but you need to have an active Azure AD tenant in order for you to be able to spin up one. So because for Azure AD, for example, let's say you didn't have Azure and your company doesn't have Azure, but you want to try it out. There's this thing called the M365 Developer Program, and we'll put a link there, that allows you to actually spin up an Azure AD tenant with a SharePoint and graph and everything behind it. It will also seed with data. So if you need to do all these tests and if you want to implement it, you don't really have to have Azure. It will allow you to perpetually have an Azure AD developer tenant to go and test things. Unfortunately, this doesn't work for B2C. But anyway, here, JP, do you want to take over?
Sure.
You're the B2C guy.
Sure. So you'll notice it says Azure Active Directory. So that would be if we want to create an organizational directory, but we do not. We want to create one called B2C. So the fastest way to do it would be to hit create a resource, the giant plus sign. And then just search for B2C, B the number 2C. And there we go. Azure Active Directory B2C. That's the one.
Search ranking for the win. All right.
And then go ahead and create it. And this is kind of a 2-step process. So that's why we have these 2 steps here. The first thing we have to do is create a tenant, or directory is really what that is. And then the second thing we have to do is we have to link it to our Azure subscriptions. So let's start by creating one.
Okay.
And we have to give it a name. And the organization name is just really going to show up in display places. So like in the corner where it says Azure Michael C. Kennedy, and it says default directory underneath it. What you type in here for organization name, that is what's going to be under. That's what's going to show up where it says default directory right now. So something that you would recognize.
Got it.
Something non-offensive that your customers wouldn't be offended by. That's how I guide my life. So
Can I do this?
It's perfect.
Can I do this?
Yeah,
Okay.
perfect.
So then we have an initial domain name. The initial domain name is sort of like this is your users are going to see this at some point, for better or for worse.
Yeah.
All right.
And this is a DNS name, so it can't have spaces or anything like that. So, yep. And then that will be suffixed with .onmicrosoft.com. And then United States is cool. That's where we want to put it.
Am I ready to review?
You are. You're ready to review.
Yeah.
All right.
And if you have specifics around, like, I have to keep my user data in Europe or I have to keep it in the U.S., that's what the country's for. So you can choose a different data center.
I see. Like the data center location. Okay. Got it.
Yep. So then scroll down and we should have a create button.
My server, my quote server, as in this, is in the U.S. So I guess U.S. is a good choice. All right. So create.
Yep. And we're done, folks. Thank you very much for coming on the show. We'll see you next week. Yeah.
This will take about a minute. So while it's doing this, while it's creating, if you want, let's go back. In fact, you could just go back in the breadcrumbs. If you scroll up, you should see them. And just go to create new or link to existing.
Mm-hmm. Gotcha. Mm-hmm. So now I want to link that.
And now we want to link it. Now it may not be available yet to link, but because it looks like the notification bell is still spinning up there in the corner. Mm-hmm. So it usually takes 60 to 90 seconds to create one of these. So, but we can go ahead and link it. You can go ahead and try to link it. If it doesn't work, we'll just have to wait till it's finished. But it should only take a minute.
All right. Should I put it in default web North Central US, aka Chicago, or somewhere else?
Well, totally up to you.
So that's a resource group, like an Azure resource group. So that's going to be something for you, something that makes sense to you. So you can call that resource group anything you want.
Think of a resource group as a logical grouping of all the resources on Azure that you need to have together. So you can say talk Python, for example, or whatever you want to call it. And then
I call it PyPI and group all my resources around this app?
Yeah.
That sounds like a great idea.
I'll call it that. All right, that's a new one.
Yep.
South Central US is Bay. What's Bay? Or Azure West 3. So AZ Wildfire is, what is Bay? Anyway, AZ West 3, if you're in that action.
Old.
Like
all right. Yeah, we go with West 3 down here.
There is no West 3 yet.
West.
She's just trolling us.
Well, it's zero based, so it's right here. It's this one.
That's awesome. Where are you located? Where are you located, Michael? Like, are you
Portland, Oregon?
Oh, okay, so
Portland, Oregon.
So so that's close to you.
I will send you photos of AZ West 3. Yeah, I want to see the...
Yeah, AZ West 3 is the like 50 petabyte storage array that he has at his house because he's built and like he's got like two 10 gig pipes going to his house too. So
what?
Do you have to wear like those protective ear muff things when you go into like the back of the house? Don't go in the garage without ear protection.
Oh man.
I think he's not trolling us. He's like, seriously, they broke ground 3 months ago, so they're building a new data center, which is great.
That's awesome.
Nice.
How would you know, AZ Wildfire? How would you know? Look at all that information he's bringing us to the stream.
Oh, they're actually bringing it to Arizona, which is where he lives. Maybe they're just taking over his data center. They're just like, hey, can you share some capacity with us so we can build a third data center? Now I understand.
Yeah, we got to run an Napster server. Is that right? I see. Get those MP3s.
That's right.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, West US 2 is fine. So go ahead and hit create, and this will only take a sec because all it's going to do is link the two together. So if you were to use premium features of B2C, or if you were to go past 50,000 monthly active users, this is the vehicle by which you would be billed. So that's what the subscription link is for. So you can click this. Now this is where it has a tendency to be a little bit confusing. So up in the corner where you see you've got the search box in the middle. You have the Cloud Shell box next to that, kind of in the middle of your title bar there. The one right next to that is the directories and the directory filter and subscription filter. Click that.
Okay.
And on the side, if you scroll down a little bit, you'll see a list of all your directories. Now,
oh yeah, look at that.
And our new one is not yet here yet, so we'll give it a sec. But go over to, you can also go over to properties. Sorry, you don't even need to do that. Just close this sidebar and scroll down. And there we go. This Azure AD B2C settings box. Click this.
Okay, gotcha.
And this is going to take you to a new page. Now, you'll notice in the corner where your name is, or where your username is, now it's switched and says Talk Python underneath it, right?
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah, now I'm in that group. Okay,
So now
that org.
Yep. So now that's
Gotcha.
kind of the context. Yeah, that's the org you're in, or the context you're in when it comes to your directory. So now we're in the Talk Python
Right.
directory.
So if I was like a consultant and I was working on 10 different Azure projects for different orgs or something.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you might
You
have
would
to
choose them from there.
orgs.
That's exactly right.
Yep.
Okay. I got my production scale tenant. That's pretty sweet.
Of course, as
Ready to go production.
as compared to the as compared to what? So here we are. So this is B2C. Now there are lots of docs and lots of other things about B2C that you'll read that are super, super, super complex, and they say, "Oh, B2C can do anything you possibly want it to do," which is
Anything and everything.
which is cool. But that's not really, we don't care about that today, because really what we care about is a way for users to sign in, or to use their social accounts, right?
Yeah.
That's all we care about. So there are maybe 3 or 4 things that we need to do. So the first thing we got to do is we need to register your app. So we need to know that your app exists. Right. And so you can go there, or if you scroll up, there's the app registrations on the side. Yeah, that's an old link. Use the app registrations one there. Yep.
Yeah, we probably don't want the legacy one, right?
Not anymore. So now we do a new registration.
I want the approved version. Yes, definitely. All right, so do new registration. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And what this is doing is saying, hey, B2C, I've got an app that users are going to sign into, and I'm going to tell you all the different pieces about it so that it's there. So yeah, so this is just a display name. This is what you'll see when you're in the portal messing with it. And then accounts in any identity provider, that's fine. That's what we want. The last radio button.
Okay.
And then
just the default. Got it.
Yep. And then this redirect URI, we don't have to put one in now, but we can go ahead and put one in. This is this is where your app is going to be running, be it localhost or.
All right, so right now it's running here.
Yep.
And we could even ngrok it. Are you guys familiar with ngrok?
Oh yeah, love ngrok.
Yeah, ngrok's awesome. So we could try that if people want to play with it, but I don't have a pro account, so I would keep randomly change. So let's just for now do this. Yeah. So maybe we could just
works with a local account, so you don't have to worry about that. So you can still do 127.
So how's something like this? So I always use it's sort of like the MVC controller model inspired, like the view name and then the functions in the view. So account/auth, because we have like account/login, account/logout, and so on.
Yep, that's fine.
Perfect.
So
we'll go with that.
So this will be the path that we are ultimately going to have to write our code in. So go ahead and put that in as a redirect URI here, and you'll need an HTTP in front of it. If you're doing localhost, you can do HTTP, but it's not smart enough to know that 127.0.1 is localhost, so we'll have to.
How is that even possible?
Oh, man? Has it not even seen the shirt? There's no place like 127.0.0.1.
I think if you do this, if you were to do it via API, I think it does work. But yeah, it's the portal validation doesn't. So, and then admin consent for OpenID and offline access, we have to have that. It's really just one of the things that, honestly, this checkbox really shouldn't be here, but whatever. So go ahead and hit register.
Well, we could have it there, but it could be default checked and read only.
That's true. Would you like to do this? Because you must.
No. Here, hold on. I got it. Hold on. We can. Oh, you guys disabled right click. I was gonna fix it. All right.
So go ahead and hit register.
Okay.
And what this is going to do is create this sort of app registration, which gives you a unique application ID. So that application client ID, we're going to need that later. So go ahead and grab that and put it somewhere in a sticky note or something, because we're going to need that. if you'd like, you can go ahead and grab your directory ID too.
Yeah.
We'll save that off somewhere. And then one more thing that I like to do that makes it a little bit easier. You can do this in the demo app, or you can do a separate registration. We'll just do it in the demo app for now. Is go into the authentication blade. There on the left.
Here?
Yep. And we're going to add a second redirect URI, so you can have multiple ones.
As many as you want.
Okay. So go ahead and add a second one, and this one's just going to be https //jwt.ms. And you wouldn't normally want to have this on like a production registration by any means, but when you're testing and demoing, it means that we can use that website to go and look at the tokens that we're receiving. It makes it a lot easier to troubleshoot and debug.
Correct.
Then at the very bottom of this page, we need to go and enable the implicit grant. So where it says implicit grant, there'll be two checkboxes, one for ID tokens, one for access tokens. We need to check both of those for right now.
Okay.
And then go ahead and save it. And that way we'll be able to get our tokens to go look at them in jwt.ms.
Okay.
Yep.
Cool.
So now our application is configured, and you can have as many of these, or up to a very high limit. You can have as many of these as you need for all the different applications that you're doing. We like to see one per sort of security domain. So if we have, for example, an API, and that API is being called by a React app, JavaScript like SPA, that would be two separate app registrations. You'd have one for the API and one for the front end. And then you might have a third one for, say, a mobile app that talks to that API. But you can have as many applications as you need up to a very, very, very high limit. So they all use the same sort of backing store, right? So now that we've got our app defined, now we need to figure out a way to let users sign in. So let's go back to sort of the main overview of B2C for our directory. Up one level, because right now we're in your specific app. So let's go up one more.
Gotcha.
There you go.
And now, over there on the left, you see we have identity providers. So by default...
Nice.
By the way, just a small intermission there. I like how we added a message for ADAL and Graph on the homepage that says we're not adding any more features and people should migrate to MSAL. So in case you haven't heard the news, ADAL was the older library that we had for authenticating to B2C and Azure AD. And in June, we announced that it's going to be deprecated. So you have 2 years to migrate. If you are in that boat, and you need some help, reach out to us. We would love to help you. Carry on.
Nice. Okay.
So in the identity provider list, these are the ones that we offer sort of out of the box. Each one of them.
There's more than I expected here.
Yeah.
Like I didn't expect QQ, to be honest.
I didn't know what. I don't even know what QQ is, and I didn't know we added WeChat and Weibo. These are new, right?
WeChat and Weibo have been around for a while, but yeah, I mean they're still preview, but. You'll notice that all of the configuration is empty with the exception of local accounts. You get local accounts, which are usernames and passwords. You get those out of the box. You don't have to do any configuration to make that work. It's on I believe Apple ID is on the roadmap, Bolt, as a pre-baked one. You can do it today, but right now it's we don't have a sort of a pre-baked configuration yet.
And you can add any OpenID client. In fact, we worked with Mr. Instafluff on Twitch to add Twitch login. So he was using Twitch as an identity provider to his app. So you can add any OpenID Connect supported provider. It doesn't have to be one of these pre-baked ones, just so you're aware.
Yeah. So for what we're doing today, we definitely need local accounts. And if we'd like to use any of these other providers, like a Twitter or a GitHub, there's a little bit of work involved, and a little bit of work is that we have to go over to Facebook or GitHub or whichever provider we choose and say, hey, we have to create essentially an app registration at those different sites.
Right.
So like Facebook developer, you have to create an app and do a couple things, and it's different for each one of those.
Yeah, you got to figure out their developer portal.
Yep.
You got to register an app, get their app code, all that kind of stuff.
Correct.
So these are the ones we offer integrations for out of the box. If you scroll up just a little bit, you'll see there's also one that says Add OpenID Connect Provider. And so if you had your own, say you had built your own legacy system or something on-prem, or if you were using a different one that didn't exist here, like in the list, like a Twitch, Apple ID, an Okta or Auth0 or something, you can add one here, and it can just be a generic OpenID provider. So for now, we're probably fine with just local accounts, right?
Yeah.
Because
that sounds good to me.
Yeah, because the advantage is if we were to add social later on, your application wouldn't actually change. Our PyPy clone would stay the same because B2C is what's handling talking to the social provider and getting the user signed in. So here's the config. This is the only config we have. Would you rather somebody use their email address or their username or a username as their method for signing in?
Well, over here, when we log in, let's go to our login. We're just using email and password.
So let's keep it consistent.
All right, so we'll do email and password.
Yeah.
All right.
Honestly, I like sites that let you type in the username and password or the email and password.
Yeah.
It either works, but the way this one is working, it's just your email. I think that it's already configured that way, right?
Mm-hmm. Already configured for email. You don't have to do anything. So, So the last thing we have to do, which we actually didn't have to do anything here for identity providers, the last thing we have to do is create what's called a user flow. And if you scroll down some, you'll see it over there on the left. User flows.
Okay.
So user flows. This is when you define sort of an interaction between your app and B2C. So a user needs to sign in. A user needs to reset their password. They want to change their profile. That's what a user flow is. And this is where we sort of define various things about it. So let's create a new one because we need to have one.
Sign in, sign up.
Sign up and sign in. That's one. So you can also have separate ones, like if you wanted your sign up to be separate from your sign in, but generally we see almost everybody go the sign up and sign in route. So
okay.
Scroll down. I think we'll have to give it a name. Probably.
I like the reset password one. Like that. It feels like that's the very first feature people use on your site. It's like they create an account and they're like, I don't know why I can't.
Yeah, it's
what happened to my password?
Every password's a one-time password that way.
Yeah, pretty much. All right.
So recommended is fine. Go ahead and create one.
I think there should only be one option there. By the way, there should be a recommended standard because it's probably confusing. And Michael was like, "Why am I not? What's the standard and what's the recommended?" And we need to make it a little bit more disambiguous. Is that a word? That must be a word.
Sure.
Or I need more coffee.
Yes. Yep.
So we need to give it a name. I usually call mine Susie, SUSI, for sign up, sign in, so I remember what they are. You're free to call it whatever you'd like.
It's S. SS. Yeah, there you go.
All right.
And then, so here's one of the neat things about the user flows is user flows, you can choose different identity providers for different ones. So if you wanted to have one user flow that was focused only on signing up with email, and then you want to have a different one that was only for social, or you wanted to have a third one that was only for a corporate login or something, you do that here. Right. We only have email sign up, so let's just stick to that.
Yeah. Maybe I want to make sure they type in their email if they log in with Twitter, or they don't necessarily send me their email, but something like that, right? Okay.
So the next one, this is multi-factor. So you can also enforce multi-factor or not use it at all. And you can choose sort of which way you want to do it. Conditional now is a way for us to pretty much say you have to create a policy that enforces MFA. So if you leave it at conditional and you leave it at SMS or phone call, that'll be fine. Now, here's the one thing you'll be billed for is SMS or phone calls. So if you were to enable MFA and you left it at phone and SMS, if somebody was required to MFA, you get charged, I think, 1/3 of a penny, or no, 3 pennies every time somebody gets
MFA.
Okay.
Yep. So what?
But you don't get charged. Do you get charged though if you use the an app to generate the code?
There is no.
So let's say I'm using Authenticate or
There is no
Authy, I
app.
think, is it?
There's no app.
Oh, there's no.
No. So you have to use SMS or email, or you can use, SMS or phone or email.
Oh, so the other option is email. Right.
So you can set it to email because you don't get charged for email. It's really the net. Conditional access policies, leave that checked. We're not going to do much with conditional access today, but okay. So then the last one are user attributes. So there are two things. Like we can ask the user for extra data. So like in your Twitter example, where somebody signed in with Twitter, but you want to still capture their email address. This is where we collect that. So that's where it says collect attribute. We're going to ask a user for this piece of data. It's sort of the net of that.
All right.
So a user says,
"Can I do these three here?"
Sure.
You can actually click show more. So it will open a new tab, and there's more options there for you to select.
Yep.
So maybe you want to capture their job title or addresses.
Yeah.
Right.
Yep.
There you go.
So now one extra thing up at the top, up near the top of this window. So we have collect, and then we also have return. And so return is what's going to be sent back to your application. So if you want those to be sent when the user signs in, we will, you'll want to make sure those boxes are checked too. And for email address is a little strange because you can ask a user for a single email address, but we actually store a collection of them, and you can store multiples for a user. So under show more, we'll have an email addresses collection, pluralized, and we can return that to the application. You'll note.
All right, sounds good.
Yep, and then hit save at the bottom, and now we will have this configured. So, one more thing to add before we do that is under show more.
Okay.
Under show more claims near the back at the bottom. At the very bottom, you'll see one called user is new.
Yes, I saw that. That looks interesting.
So let's include that one because that way, if our app wants to do something extra, it can. So based on whether or not a user is new or not. So go ahead and hit OK, and let's get that created.
Should we, once this is created, should we test this with JWTMS and then maybe take a break because we've been at it for
that's exactly
1 hour?
That's exactly what we'll do. So we've got our
great minds think alike.
So we've got our flow created.
Yeah, my coffee cup's getting low.
All right, we'll test this flow, make sure it works, and then we'll be ready to go. So let's click on the user flow that we just created, that B2C1 Susie. And everything that we just configured, you also have the choice to configure here, right? So you can do different things. But the big one, of course, is run user flow. And when we run that flow, a new window will open up to the side. And that's the only app that we have. And you'll notice the reply URL is jwt.ms. If we wanted to test, we could also test with yours. But let's keep it at jwt.ms because that way we will see the token that gets created so that we'll know what's going on. And then that URL that's there, you can put that in another browser, or you can just hit run user flow and it'll open up a new tab.
Ooh.
Yep.
Yes.
Sign in. Oh, I'm going to sign up now. That's a good looking sign in form, honestly.
And you can customize this however you need to, but the one out of the box actually doesn't look too bad.
Yeah, so the idea with customization is you can make it look and feel like your site exactly. So even though people are redirected to a different website, which is the B2C tenant, you can apply HTML and CSS to the website so it looks very similar to yours. So the experience is consistent for the user, so they don't feel like they're coming out of your website to authenticate and then coming back. But that's an extra step, right? So for now, and I think many people, when they start with B2C, they would just leave it blank or the default option, not blank.
Yeah. Okay, so this is where my A goes.
Yeah, good luck there. So we have some password policies are going to be there.
It's going to take 8 A's. No longer going to type 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8.
Well, you also have to have a lowercase and an uppercase.
Uppercase
and
A,
so.
and maybe.
All right, the first A is going to be uppercase.
And maybe an at.
You're not fooling us.
And
maybe an at.
And the first letter of the alphabet is 0 base, so we'll do an O. And a symbol. And an at. Well, what? I'm going to do this. All right. I'm just joking. Let me put
the
something
security
here.
features. What are these people on about?
I mean, you can turn.
What about
we
this?
can turn these off too, but in most cases, of course, you would want to.
How about this?
Oh yeah.
Nice, perfect. Yeah, in most cases you wouldn't want to turn them off, but of course for demos it does work better. So
No, it's fine. I got it over
okay,
here.
cool.
JP's promoting bad practices there. No, man,
I'm not
enforcing
promoting
it.
it. I'm not promoting it at all. I'm just saying if you know.
All right.
I think you still need a special. Oh no, he has a special character. You have dashes.
And we-
Oh yeah, I've dashes.
And we've got to
Yeah, man.
We've got to get a verification.
So I
code.
got to send the.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay.
So again, this is something you can turn off, but if you don't, since you do get billed by monthly active user, you don't necessarily want to be in a case where you're letting anybody with an email address, a fake email address, come and sign up, because a sign up is considered a monthly active user, and if you hit more than 50,000 of them, you're going to start getting a bill.
Yeah, I've had people attack the site doing like 1,000 requests a second for hours, trying to sign in and do other bad things. So I opened up my email and another tab. What am I getting here?
Something that we talked about.
Microsoft on behalf of here. Let's see. I'll pop this out over to the main window so I get it.
So one of the things that we say usually when we speak to people is, as soon as you put something out there on the web, it's going to be attacked. You don't have to, advertise or whatever. There are tools out there that will scan GitHub, that will scan any public domain just to see if there are any security threats. So what you said is happening to your site is happening to everyone.
Yep.
Yeah. Welcome to the internet. All right. So I've got my code over here.
Yep.
Right. And we'll put that into my verification area. It has been verified, and now I can create my account with my that's like 32 A's. Okay.
And you did save that GUID somewhere, right? So we don't have to reset our password.
What? No, I got it.
Okay, so this is what.
Yeah, I actually have an app that records all the things I've copied.
Nice.
What?
That are not passwords.
Nice. That's amazing.
You can search it. It's beautiful. So it's in there. We got it.
Nice.
Yeah.
So, okay. So this is ultimately what your app will receive. Now, there's some extra steps, and we'll talk about those when we get to them. But for right now, this is the data that you're going to receive in your app, is that long string. And once we've decoded that, because that string is base 64 encoded. It's not encrypted at all.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So it's super secure. Like you need a certificate or something to get that, right?
So
just kidding. All right.
Well, so the green part is a signature, and so the signature is how you validate that it came from where it said it came from.
Right. So you can't tamper with it, but
right. But it is is essentially in the clear.
We'd do something like this.
Yep.
There it is.
Yep, and there it is.
My Susie.
Yep.
Yeah. So super secure, but that's fine. Okay, good.
Yeah. So it's.
I mean, obviously it's over HTTPS, so it should be fine.
So it's always done over TLS, and the signature is there to make sure it hasn't been tampered with. And if you look at the data that's in it, we should see at a minimum your fields that you chose. So emails, Michael at talkpython.fm,
Right.
and then you see given name and family name. So those are the ones that you choose.
I'm new.
And that you're a new user. So now if you were to sign in a second time, new user should be false, because at that point you're not doing a sign up. So that's, that being there, your app can make a decision to say, oh, well, you're a new user, so we should do something else with you or check whatever. So so this is what you're going to get. So at this point, B2C set up. So now it's just we just got to get it in the code.
Sweet.
So do we want to take a quick 5-minute break, and then we'll come back and start integrating it into the code?
Yeah. Let's write some
sweet.
code.
Looks like we got it working pretty far, so that's good.
All right, we'll be back in 5. All right, everybody, we're back. And now we're going to get into integrating B2C with our app.
Yes, we are.
Be cool.
Yes, we are.
So we've got our token. There are two kinds of tokens, but the only one we're really going to worry about today is one called an ID token, and the ID token is what tells you. It's essentially this is what you're looking at. So this token that's in front of you has all the data about you, like your.
Is this like who they are rather than what they can
Correct.
do? Something like that.
That's exactly what it is.
Okay.
And this is for your app to consume. You may also receive access tokens if you're calling other services, but those aren't for you to consume. Those are for you to hold and use when you're calling the other services. But since we're not doing extra services today, we don't even have to worry about them. So, all right. So let's get back over. Let's get into our app, and then we've got a sample of integrating B2C into a net new Python app. And I think we may use some of that for sort of driving what we have to do to migrate.
Yeah, I had that up somewhere. If I can spell. There we go.
Yeah. So this this app essentially has sort of bare bones of different of the pieces that we need in order to get integrated into a new app. So there's a repo,
and it does talk through some of what you already did,
Yep.
right? Like
Yes.
like register your app,
Yep.
and whatnot.
Yep.
Yeah, over here.
Yep.
So all that's already there.
We've already done
So
that.
we've already done all that. Yeah, we've done that part.
Okay. This part where you get the code.
Yep.
This is where you copy and paste from.
Yep, and so that's on GitHub too. So the URL itself, we can either open the code in an IDE that you've got locally, or we can just go look at it on GitHub. But that link goes directly to the zip, like an archive of it. So,
Yep. Did you guys notice the different little colors in these things?
Yeah, that's pretty
So
cool.
based on whether it's GitHub or Azure, it runs in separate cookie containers. So if one thing gets compromised, like
Nice.
if Azure got compromised, it couldn't get to my GitHub data, even though I'm logged in on
And
both.
then what are those buttons?
That's-
There's like JetBrains buttons in your thing there.
Oh yeah, I know. It's like a clone directly in PyCharm. It's super annoying. I'm kind of thinking I gotta get it out of there somehow. But
What's that? I guess that's. Is that why use this template is so tall?
yeah, because I think this thing is breaking
Yeah.
it.
Okay.
Yeah. Anyway, it's some extension that has some value, but over here,
Yeah.
I think if I do it real quick, one of these should be. There we go. Now I'm feeling better about life. All right, let's keep going.
Okay, cool. So, so in here, there are lots of extra bits in this folder. So there's like a script that goes and does everything we just did. But I think really
Is that the app creation scripts? The over here.
Yep. So everything we just did in the portal, you can also do via API. But doing it in the portal, especially if it's the first time, tends to be a little bit easier, just to kind of get familiar with where things are, because inevitably there might be a setting we have to change or whatever. So being able to know where to do it in the portal is pretty useful. But if you just want to create it from script, they have scripts available. So in here, there are really only about probably only 3 or 4 files that we actually need here. There's app.py, app.config, and app.config B2C. So let's start with that B2C pile or B2C pie.
All right, let me open this up locally here. How's
Okay.
that? That way we can work with it more fully.
If only we had a clone into PyCharm button.
Yeah.
God, didn't I just take that away?
Baked right in.
I
You had it here first.
I don't like usually using the super long names. I kind of like having a little more control here. And we also probably should do the virtual environment thing on installer requirements. So let me knock that out real quick. Also, much like installing, creating the virtual environment, I have a little shortcut for this pip install requirements thing. So just same thing.
Okay.
Run that, and it'll go and check your tools, give you all the stuff. So these are all the things that the Quick Start app is going to need.
Yeah, there are 2 or 3 libraries in there that are pretty useful. One of them is PyJWT, and the other one will be the other one will be MSAL. Oh, right next to it, even better. And MSAL is our library, and so MSAL is stands for Microsoft Authentication Library, and we have it available for most big languages like the Python, Java, JavaScript, .NET. And it's our library that we ship, but if you are familiar with like OpenID Connect or OAuth 2 and you want to use your own library, we're all standards based. So you don't have to change the library, but if you're looking for a new one to use with our stuff, MSAL is the way to go.
Cool. Remember that thing about sometimes detecting, sometimes not. This is the fully not right here. All right, there we go.
Okay, cool. So this is the quick start, right?
Right, and here you said we wanted to go to the app.py.
Yeah, so we can look here first, and then we'll look at config and config B2C too.
Yeah.
So in here, you'll notice we're importing MSAL, and we're importing the config. If we scroll down a little bit, there's going to be a route for login.
Yep, right here.
Yep. So that login, you'll notice we're doing this build an auth URL.
Right there.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
So essentially what we're going to be doing is we're going to build a long URL that we're going to redirect the user to, and that long URL has all the bits of data in it that B2C needs in order to sign the user in. All right. In order to present them with a login.
Can I print it out to see what it looks
like?
Sure.
Yep. And yep, so you can print that, and then.
Oh, by the way, when people try to run this, it depends on how you've got things set up, but it's not loving this. I noticed the other day. It's because it's using Flask session here, which and it says store the sessions on disk. There are ways to put it into like Redis and MongoDB and whatnot, but it's set for file, but it's trying to use that off of root.
Oh yeah,
and it's apparently not allowed to write to root. That's
Imagine
weird.
that.
I probably should just change mod 777 like recursively from the root,
and then to run code that you've never seen before that came from the internet.
Exactly. Yeah. Yes.
Nothing
Exactly.
could go wrong.
So either I've got to set the right working directory, which is make sure I got the right one here. I think I may have to create that folder as well. I'm not 100% sure. Let's see. It might create it for us. Yeah. So notice over here, if we wait for a moment, refresh. There you go. There's now this Flask session thingy.
Yep.
All right. So anyway, people try to run it and they run into that. It's the working directory is not in the right place.
Well, I will take a note to make sure that that the docs get updated to reflect that too.
And alternatively, you guys could update the code, because over here you're setting the session type. You could set like session dir to some code that figures out where this working directory is, like OS. Like anyway, you could set it up so it always finds the directory where this file is, rather than just assuming the working directory. Hey, I only point it out because it might cause people trouble, because it caused me trying to run it a little bit of trouble.
Yeah, no sweat. Thank you for pointing it out. Okay, so if we scroll down a little bit, so you'll get the auth URL, and the auth URL is what we're going to redirect the user to.
Oh yeah, I was going to print that out, but I couldn't make it run. Let's go. Let me try that one more time. Now that it runs. I got distracted. All right, over here, I can go sign in.
Yep.
Beautiful website, by the way. Look at that.
It's really nice, isn't it?
At least they spelled Python correctly. And so,
how do I want to log in with this thing? Hold
on. Right now we can't log in because, you could log in with an Azure, with your regular Azure account. So because we haven't configured it to use B2C yet, right?
Oh, it won't even let me print it out, will it? It's like we're not going that far.
Well, I think if you comment out the actual redirect, because there is a redirect.
Oh, here it is. Yeah, we already got it. Yeah, we made it this far. Cool.
So
that's what it's going to try to use. And enter application ID. That probably is not what I named it.
That's correct. So there are a couple changes that we have to make, and because we're using B2C, we're going to use app config B2C instead of app config.
So we're going to go up here.
Yep.
Change or wherever we imported that from. That is
line 8.
Here. Thank you. It's like right there, hiding in plain sight.
And then I think, there we go. Cool. And then if we go into app config B2C, into that file, Now we have
some
the stuff that we have. Now this is our configuration. This is where we have to go make some changes.
So this should be SUSE.
Yep, so that should be
for
SUSE.
example.
You can leave the other ones because unless we were to click a button that took us to edit profile or reset password, none of them are ever going to get called, so it's not really a big deal. Now B2C tenant is one that we're going to need to change.
Yes, that was Talk Python demos, perhaps.
That's right. And then, and we can check to make sure, but I'm pretty sure that's what it was. And then our next one for the client ID, we need the client, which is the application ID or client ID. They're the same thing.
Okay.
Which I believe we had saved off, and if we didn't, we can always go back and get it.
Let's see if I can get it. Can make this go over here? No. Hold on. We are looking for the application client ID, which I have copied. We have not yet copied our secret, I don't believe.
So we need to go generate a secret.
Okay, but I have...
So let's go generate one, which we do in the portal. And if you want, while you're generating it, I will hide your screen. Although, you could always just make sure you rotate it afterward, but yeah.
Here, you show me where to generate. I'll do it on the set. I'll move it to my second monitor.
Okay, so in the B2C portal, so not this tab, but the one right next to it, the Run User Flow tab.
This one. Yep.
Here, let's go back to your app registration. So that's under B2C, sort of the main B2C.
Yep. I got to go up higher. Yeah.
App registrations.
Oh, hold on. I went too far.
But that's okay.
Right, there you go. I see where I'm going.
And then...
Yep, this one. So I go here.
And then you see it says certificates and secrets over there on the left. And in certificates and secrets, you can generate a secret. So for production, we typically suggest use a certificate. But for client secret, this is just going to generate you one.
All right, let me shoot that to the side over here.
And they are, of course, rotatable and deletable. So even if you share one, you can go in and immediately delete it. So.
All right.
And that's going to go in your settings file. Or if you have a good way to, store it somewhere, like in .NET, we've got protected storage and desktop apps and things like that. We've got secrets and .NET Core. If you've got a mechanism for doing that in Python, which I think is that the palette project here, down here.
Yeah.
That's using an environment variable. So you can just put your secret here.
Yeah.
Or if you wanted to go sort of full hog and make it an environment variable that we reference, that's fine too. But as long as you rotate it immediately when we're done, it's probably not going to be a big deal.
Yep.
Oh, yeah. I'll rotate it.
Yep. So that secret will get in there. And that's it. We're done with this. We should be done with this file.
I don't need my authority template. Or actually, this is just a format string anyway, right? So it's good. That should work.
That should be good because it's got Talk Python demos up there at the top. So we should be good.
Yeah, exactly. These are the bits plugged in. Okay.
So now let's go back to your app. We'll run it again and see. Now we should see a B2C sign-in page instead of... Didn't like that.
Hold on. It didn't totally like that. Let's see. Let's see what it didn't like about this. I didn't mean to click it. Go away. There we go. I'm able to get a authority certificate. Did I maybe mistype the?
That is looking for a password reset one.
Reset. Yeah.
Yep.
It also
we can
says
comment them out, right?
Well, I think MSAL's still going to look for those. So let's go quickly create a password reset. One.
Maybe I'll call it. I'm going to call it that.
Easy enough. Yeah.
All right. Yeah.
Historically, it was never really a requirement to have these, but the library must be looking for them. So we're going to create a new user flow in B2C.
Oh, there's a mismatch. I think we mistyped 172 instead of 127 somewhere. Bolt.io is saying, did we miss something there?
Possible.
Let's see.
The configuration.
And we also have to use localhost instead of 127 because of the
Oh,
Yep.
yeah. Okay, so that I can fix easy enough. I think it's in the app is where it's running. And then... Let's try to get that to work. Yeah, okay. That's a start.
Cool. So it's running on locals. Now we may.
Oh, are you using a different
Oh,
port?
wait. You know what I'm running right now is I'm running the quick start still. So just so you know, but yeah, I am also using a different port. So let me make the port the same as our other app port. I think it was 5006, but I can do a quick double check.
Thanks, Bolt.io. We're addressing the localhost versus 127. Cool.
Where did the other one go? Oh, no, this is it. Yeah.
5006. Cool. Okay.
All right. So those are all in sync now.
Okay.
Good.
So let's run it. I don't think it'll work. I think it's still going to look for metadata for the other one, but we can at least try and see.
Yeah.
I think you have two apps running on the...
Yeah, now I put them on the same port. The other one was running. Okay. All right. I do miss that, the local dev IS can share the ports and just based on the URLs. And anyway, that's nice. Yes. But no. Yep. Yeah, so it's probably the same error.
Yep. So the way that...
which is... Yeah.
Yep. So
the password reset's still missing.
That's fine. We can go create a quick policy. There really aren't that many questions that come up when it's time to create a password reset policy. So so go up one level to the sort of B2C overview, and here we've got our user flows.
Flow?
Yep. And we'll create a new one.
All right. Create a new flow. It's going to be a password reset flow. I'm definitely taking the recommended one. Its name is that.
And then, email address.
Mm-hmm.
That's all.
Email.
And then if you want data to come back after a user resets their password, you can set that here.
Oh, why not? How about their email addresses? It's probably the most important one. I'll take that just for the heck of it.
Free.
Okay.
Anyway, why not?
Well, object ID is ultimately what you want to store in your database. So, okay.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
Because
we're not returning that from the SUSE one, though, are we?
I don't think so. We probably want to.
No.
Although there are other ways that it comes in, so you can just click it and edit it.
Okay.
And under go back one. Under application claims for that one. Open the policy first.
Oh yeah.
And then application claims.
Yep. Got it.
These are claims that are sent with the user.
Gotcha.
Yep. Okay. So let's run it again. Hopefully, it doesn't ask for a profile edit policy too. If it does, at least we know where we can get one if it asks for one. Okay.
All right, we're in business. Look at this magic.
Okay. So let's open it up and run it and see if we can log in. And now we should see.
All right. We can sign in and I think maybe it's because this thing was dynamically generating those bits there or something like that.
Okay, well let's try to sign in.
All right.
And now we get a redirect. So if you look up in the error in the URL, we get a redirect URI mismatch. So that's good. That means that we at least made it to B2C correctly. So our redirect URIs don't match. So let's go look at our application registration again.
Okay.
And I believe, so this one is going to login, right? And ours was going to something /account/auth.
Account/auth. Yeah.
So you could either, we can add login as an additional redirect URL.
Well, so far we've only done this on this quick start. Should I start trying to move some of these bits over to the?
Let's watch it
to the Apple.
Let's watch it work all the way through first.
Yeah, I agree. It sounds good.
So
okay.
For now,
so should we add another /login?
Yep. Let's add /login.
I think it's actually, if we look over here, I think it's there's login, and then there's
The redirect path.
authorize, which is the redirect path is get a token, which is the default.
Yeah, so we can
somewhere.
So we can change that something else as long as there's something listening at that path.
Okay, so if we just do account / call it auth, I believe, and then that line right there will register this function to be called at that URL. Yep. We try again. Make sure it's alive. We're gonna do our sign in. Ooh,
okay, very good.
All right, this is where I put all the A's. Okay, hold on.
I'm just gonna make one giant GUID full of nothing but A's.
Where did my A's go? There we go. That's the one I had, I believe. I think. Let's see.
All right, let's.
Now, hold on. That was not it. I got it. Sorry, I got it over here. There's a lot of GUID-looking things I copied. Although that might be.
Bobby Tables has arrived.
Do I exact? Ooh, we made some progress.
Okay.
We've had an internal server.
Okay. Server
over.
See
what it is.
It wants a profile editing.
Oh, for Christ's sake. Okay, that's fine. We'll go create a profile edit one now, I guess.
All right, it's cool. I know how to do this now, I think. All right. Go up, go to our flow.
Check that out.
Look at that. Fully empowered here.
Yeah.
I need a new flow. You guys want to edit your profile? Fantastic. Definitely recommended.
Hey, Bolt. Well,
where do I set the name of it?
Once you hit create.
Yeah, thanks.
Hey, and Bolt, yeah, we'll take a note that the tab order's wonky on forgot password.
Email. We'll take all the things. We'll return the things. Change your display name. I don't care about your display name. It's gonna be whatever. Get that. Your email addresses. We're never gonna use it, but you know what? Gotta do it right. It's worth doing. It's worth doing right.
Okay, so now we've got our three. Right. We've got our three.
Yep.
I'm gonna hide that internal server error. That never happened. Oh, look, I'm logged in.
Look at that.
Although technically I'm none.
Hello, none.
It doesn't hurt. I've got a strong self-identity, so it's gonna feel all right.
Well, so a lot of that's driven by the claims. So if we go look at the code, we can see what claim it's looking for to name you none.
Yeah. What is it? What are we looking at? This is like the root. All right, hold on. So we can find out what it's trying.
Display name. We may now have returned display name.
Yeah. It's we can fix this. User get name. It's really this is all we really need. I take it back. We need more than that.
Is that a custom object?
So this is doing some extra stuff too, which we actually don't really need this. So this is using, so this is getting the email claim, and ours is emails. In B2C, in B2C it's emails, but yeah, if you want to use given name, that's probably the best place to start.
That's what I got. I use what I got. I think I can do it like that. It's a little simpler code. Hold on.
Well, those get
I gotta restart it. It's not running the right mode. To refresh. Debug mode is off. Woo woo!
Nice. Hey. Look at that.
Look at that.
Cool.
Yeah.
And then if you do a logout, that should log you out B2C side too. And now it's taking you to B2C, and now you're logged out of B2C too. So now you're logged out of both.
Yep.
Cool. All right. So now we got to integrate. Now all we have to do is integrate that into your other app.
Wait for it. I'm logging in. All right. There we go. I'm in and out.
Nice.
We're cooking.
Sweet. Okay.
So if we go look at the code briefly, like the code that we have for this one, there are probably only 2 or 3 methods that we actually need. So this is the
authorize.
So this is the redirect path.
This is the big one.
And there are 2 things really to notice here. So 48 and 49. So in a typical OAuth flow, you'll notice this says acquire token by authorization code. So when you go to sign in at B2C, and when you, the user, sign in, type your username and password, you get sent back to the application with this one-time use code called an authorization code. And then B2C, or the app itself, needs to handle taking that authorization code and making a back channel API call to say, hey, I've got this authorization code. Can I please get an ID token? And that's what's happening here. And this is probably the most critical part of the whole thing. So at this point, MSAL is going to deal with all this for you. Our authentication library is going to handle that for you. So this is pretty much the most important part of the whole thing. So
okay, so yeah, like this OAuth thing is a little bit of a ping pong.
Yep. And this is
Feel.
the
Go here, you go there, you go back.
This is an acknowledgement that we received a Pong, and we'd like to exchange the Pong for something useful. So yeah. And then that build MSAL app, I'm not sure where that is coming from. I don't know if
it's right down. Yeah, it's right down here. It's hiding on line 9.
Oh, okay, yeah, and build auth URL is down there too, so that's cool.
So a new confidential client application, right?
Yep.
So this is what it does, right?
Yep.
Yep.
And then also we've got that cache assessor down there on 105. So when you get that token back, it goes into a cache, so you can use it and get back to it later on without having to go all the way back to B2C. Probably not super required here because we're not getting access tokens to go call another service. We're just signing the user in, but we can keep it anyway because we may want to call a service. Who knows?
Yep.
Okay.
So I think really we need build auth, obviously build MSAL, that redirect URI method, the one that's the authorized method, I think it was, and then the redirect.
Another thing that's interesting happening here is we're defining this function, this build auth URL, which is here. Mm-hmm. We're setting this up so that the template language knows about it as a global.
Would that be so that you can use it somewhere else, maybe?
Right here, yeah. So you can use it right here as if it was part of a found without setting up all the functions to pass it back. Like that would also be a totally doable thing. Anyway,
so that's a global variable, more or less, right?
Yeah, it's like saying so anytime within any template anywhere, you can now access that function. Is basically
is that not setting it up for misuse? Like if you do, I mean, not for this one, but I assume that having global variables is usually a frowned upon thing because you don't want to be passing them like that, right?
Yeah, but it's just a function, right? It's not mutable.
Okay.
So it's, I wouldn't do it this way. The way I would do it is I would go. So where was that being used in login, for example?
Yeah.
Let's go to like login. It's way at the top, isn't it? So you're these things going on here. These are the things being passed, and you could just do this, right?
Yeah. There you go.
And then it's available without setting it globally. But I don't know. I probably wouldn't put it like that. Whatever. That's what that last line was about. If people are like, "What the heck is this?"
Okay, cool.
Yes. Okay.
Well, yeah, we can do it. I mean, we want it to integrate into your app. How you want it.
So I would put that. I would put that in the base view model, and all the templates get the view model data. So,
okay, cool.
Anyway,
nice. Yeah. Let's do this.
All right. Let's see. I guess. All right. So let's go with this bit first. I guess we could start moving that over.
Yep.
And we talked about where it might go. So there's the base view model. So I'll just go
what
this.
do the double underscores mean in there?
So it's a little bit like operator overloading a little bit. So you've got like dunder stir is like overriding toString, and dunder EQ is overriding equal. It means like this is like fundamental. No, not exactly. It's like a fundamental, like Python, the runtime looks for these as if they're kind of operators. Like, so enter is like if it's in a using equivalent of a using block within a with block, it looks for that function. So they're just like agreed upon function names instead of, because you don't have overriding behaviors.
Oh.
Right. So like the presence of this function is as if you had implemented iDisposable. but
Right.
the absence of it means it's not. So it's like it means here's a special function. Don't name other stuff this.
Okay. Apparently they're called dunders.
Yes, they
Double
are called
unders.
dunders,
There
which
you
sounds
go.
weird, but
Mr. Robert Tables on the chat is letting us know.
yes,
Thanks for the education,
so
people.
dunder init, dunder enter, and so on. Yes, for double underscore on both ends.
Wow.
Okay. So this needs to be self to be a class, like that's a this, but in Python, this is explicit, whereas in C#, this is an implicit argument, right?
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to call it like that. What is it? It may be static. You know what? It doesn't need to be static. Hold on. Oh, tell me that. There we go. Hush. All right, so now we need to move this over. And maybe that would make more sense in this world to like have an intermediate view model, like a auth view model base for all authentication and put that there. But just for expediency, I'm just going to put it in the base for now, right? So now we need this.
Mm-hmm.
And because otherwise...
Yeah, that's handling the actual sort of creation of the MSAL app. The MSAL object itself, which is kind of nice because then you don't have to worry about MSAL specifics later on.
Exactly. Okay, so this is a good start. This is just a library. This is like GUID, but Python is UUID. URL 4 authorized. This can just be...
Do you not need the port? The port?
I suppose it. Make it sure. Why not? No, we need it. Okay.
Details.
Okay, so now it looks like what we're going to need also up here. So this is how the view model communicates back the data to all the templates. And I told you like I'd prefer to kind of do it that way. But it only passes the fields, not the functions. And so if we're going to do that, we should have it like this. There we go, and return. So we're kind of like adding on like a function or two that's always available.
Oh, that's
Nice.
cool.
Okay.
All right.
Yeah. So now we need two things. We need to have our app config, our B2C app config thing, and we need MSAL. So let's go get our dependencies here. Mm-hmm. So put that into our runtime requirements, which apparently PyCharm believes they're misspelled, but they're not actually. And it notices that I put this here. So it'll install it if I click this, which is
nice.
handy. But just so we see what happens for sure, I'll just do, if you've already got it, maybe a upgrade. We don't have it because this is our virtual environment, but nonetheless, get the latest.
So the virtual environment is almost like a container where you run everything, and then once you dispose it, then it goes away, and you don't have to pollute your machine with random packages, right?
Exactly, and you can control this version of Flask for this project and that version of Flask over there, exactly, nice. And so on. Yeah. So now that should be all good. You can see it's reindexing before it decides. It's all good. Okay, so back here, this is still not happy because we got to import it at the top, which up here, that.
Nice.
And then we got to create this app config. So where is that going to go? My thing doesn't have a config, but you know what? Why not? And let's make a new Python file, app config. We only have one. We don't need like a B2C and a non-B2C, right?
Yeah, because we're just doing B2C, right? So
yeah, exactly. So this is where I control Command A, Command C, go here, Command V, proper development. But yeah, this is what we want, so it's good.
Oh, you know what? Those three, that authority, B2C profile authority, and B2C reset password, those are the ones I think that were causing us to
so like this
them.
This is the trouble.
Yeah.
Those are the troublemakers, yeah. Yeah, they're gone now. Cool. Hold on. Wait. Yeah, you're probably right. Authority. Yep, you're right. We don't need those. Once you've set your name or you've set your email, it's permanent.
Choose wisely.
All right, I'm not sure. Yeah, exactly. Are you sure? Are you really sure? I'm not sure that we have to use the session. We can see. Maybe we'll end up using it. But okay, so this is good. And then over in our view model base, we're going to need to import the app config. So up here, from our configs, we're importing the app config.
Cool.
Well, all the red stuff's gone.
It's usually a good sign.
See if it runs. Yeah, well, I'm going to run not the import, but the app. That's also, it's okay. That's okay.
It's just because we're
already using the same
port.
Yeah. Go away. There we go. That's all right.
You're running on a Mac, right? There's no Mac.
Yeah.
Sometimes get its knickers in a twist, and then if like you try to shut down an app, the port may be stuck in use, and then you have to do some. Oh man, I remember having to deal with that.
Yeah, it sounds like a part of your demo that you did back in 2015.
Well, different demos, obviously. I bring a lot of experience of screwing up my demos.
That's right. Yeah, PyCharm is usually pretty good at like killing off, and if it doesn't go away, it'll like force kill -9 or whatever. All right. Oh, this one we probably also need to do the same thing and say, actually, this is in the app. We need to say don't listen on 127, but
yes, localhost, right?
Yeah. All right. Whoops. Hey, stay still. Here we go. That's a good sign. It's not dead.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
And notice the view model actually did pass that stuff over because the view model is where all this stuff is coming from. So like all that code we wrote is now technically running.
Very nice.
So for example, like over here, go to template, package details, like right at the top, we'll put an H2. What do I call that thing? See, there's the bound method that I got. So it looks like,
nice.
yeah. So it looks like we're ready to call that function, and it's getting passed along. Who knows if it's going to work, but we're making progress. Making steps.
I like the confidence.
All right, cool. So those steps were done. Now, I think we should maybe look at what we're doing to log in there, right? So right now, login just takes us to /account/login and shows this form, but I'm not sure that that's what was happening over here in this one. So if we go back to our app, we see the /login. Like it was doing, it's doing this, okay. Which is the login HTML. All right, let me remind myself what this was doing. This sharing the same port. I should just add like 2 port.
So you can run them side by side. Yeah.
Yeah. Let's do that. That'll make our lives a lot. I feel like going back and forth. We're going to be appreciating. All right, you guys guide me. Where do I go to change the redirect URL for my app registration?
And if you click on your app registration, and
right
then
there.
if you go into authentication, yeah.
Okay.
And then redirect URIs.
Yes. You know what? This is great, but we're going to get one that has port 5000 in it. There we are. Okay. So then... All right, I got to log out to be able to log back in. All right, so what we're seeing is like it just takes us straight to login. Like this is like what the app is doing if you're not logged in.
Yep.
So let's go over here, see what's happening. Here, so if you're not logged in, it's going to send us over there. Otherwise, it just says who we are.
Yeah. I'm
That's
usually
really
not a
good.
big fan of forcing login at the startup because most of the times in most of the production systems, there's this section of a website where you're not authenticated, and then there's a section of the website that you need to be authenticated. So it's totally up to you how you want to do it, but I always like having this kind of a homepage unauthenticated, and
Yeah,
then when you need to go
I
into
agree.
section,
Right, and
you
that's
force
how
it.
ours works as well. So it looks like
Yeah.
what we need to do is we need to have one thing we could do is when you click login. So over and this one, instead of going to this place at all, which we
Yeah,
got to
that
rerun
feels
this
like
one
a
more
that
time.
feels like
It's
a good
just
place for it.
yeah. So if we go back here, when just that right there, when I click that, it does instead of doing this, it takes us through that login flow,
Yep.
right? Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So it to me it looks like what we're going to need to do is like this. No, that's edit profile. Where's our login? That would be auth URL. What is our auth URL again?
Is there any sort of like, so like in .NET, you know, we've got like
That's right there.
we've got like the authorized tag. So, because Bolt was just mentioning that you pretty much authorize all and then allow anonymous on ones that you need. Is there any sort of like authorization framework like that, or like authorization chunk like you'd see in ASP.NET and Python?
Not in Python. In the web frameworks, each web framework has its own
Oh
little,
yeah, like
its own way,
yeah.
right?
Mm-hmm.
So I believe there probably is like there's a zillion Flask dash
Yeah.
other. So there's like Flask session, Flask JW token type stuff. There's got to be one for authorization that you could use,
Okay.
but I'm not sure which one. So I think for us, it also would be pretty straightforward to create like the equivalent of an attribute, but a decorator, which is what it's called, and just put that and have it just like one line of code that's kind of our own middleware we write. So either way. All right, so this is the URL that's getting built over here on login through this right here, which is coming from this build URL. All right. So I feel like that's the one we already had. So yeah, we should be able to just call that function, and we should be good.
Yep.
In this, one thing we got to pass it is this session state. If we look over here, it says the state could be, where is the state being used? Right there.
Yeah, so like
It could be
sometimes
nothing.
you use the
Go
state
ahead.
to know where to go after the user signs in. So like if they hit a deep link or something, you want to take them back where they were.
I see. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, or it could just be, in this case, just a random GUID.
All right. Yeah. So I think we'll just pass a random GUID for that.
Mm-hmm.
And it looks like that's what we're doing. For the scopes, it could just be empty. So yeah, if we go back to our code over here, the view model thing, notice like all of these, this is the build auth URL.
Mm-hmm.
All of these were have defaults to none.
Yeah.
So we should be able to just call it empty. So let's give that a try over here. In ASP.NET, you've got like the layout main view, and then you've got the little inner templates. Like so, in our like say the home page, whatever, somewhere, it has very little code, right? Just like ASP.NET. Same thing here. So this is the one that all the pages share that have the navigation.
Okay, cool.
Very nice.
Yeah, yeah. And so this link right there is where we wanted to change this. And for the moment, let's say you can't register because we did our SUSI, not our SU or C.
True.
Well, you just change the text and say login or register, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Or you want to make them feel better, you just put both links and you just put the same URL.
I went to register for your site, but I don't have a way to log in first. Although the other day I went to a website and I clicked, I don't remember which one I clicked, like log in or register. I don't even remember. And It wouldn't. There was no way for me to log in with an existing account. Once you click the registration button, you were done. You had to go all the way back out and start over. I was like, well, damn. I guess I'm gonna find something else to do now. So.
Oh man. Indeed. All right. Let's see. Is this thing still running? Yes, it is. But I guess I'll restart it. All right. Moment of truth. Well, it didn't crash.
Okay.
That's pretty sweet. It's got a long URL. See at the bottom?
Yeah.
It takes up my whole screen with some dots.
Nice.
If I click it, what's happening?
Oh, look at that.
Dun, dun, dun.
Now, do we get?
Well, what happens when it comes
Yeah,
back?
do we get
It's
back?
probably going to
Yeah.
be all sorts of wreck. But this is where all the A's go. Okay, hold on.
Bobby Table says it didn't crash, so let's ship it.
Little Bobby Table says 404.
This guy's got the.
All right, this is pretty cool though. So
This guy has.
Yeah, go ahead.
This guy has literally the best Twitch name ever. It's Robert Tables.
no
Yeah.
way.
One of the guys in the chat. So yeah.
Yeah. If you don't know the cartoon that is your namesake,
Yes.
Literally, it's
Right.
just fantastic.
this is. Hi, this is your son's school. We're having some computer trouble. Oh dear, did he break something? Well, in no way. Did you really name your son Robert semicolon or parenthesis semicolon tick for the colon drop table students semicolon dash dash? Oh yes, little Bobby Tables we call it. We've lost this year's student records. I hope you're happy, and I hope you've learned something about sanitizing your database inputs.
That's awesome.
All right,
I love
that's
it.
so Ed never gets
SQL
old.
injection
All right,
for
so-
the win.
Exactly.
You know, in the UK, somebody created somebody got a plate for the car, so when they go over speed cameras, they could drop database.
That's awesome.
I need to find that link.
There was a guy, I think it was in the U.S., that had his custom license plate be null,
Yeah.
N-U-L-L,
Yeah.
hoping that when they looked for it and they said if it's equal to null, like you can't send him like for his address. He ended up getting every piece of malformed data. He's got hundreds
Yeah.
of license
I
data.
think he was in California, wasn't he? The no license plate.
Yeah, I think he was.
It was
Yeah,
awesome.
yeah. Oh my goodness. Okay, so over our views because we don't want to put everything in app, so we got our account stuff. And what do we got up here? Just for because I want to be able to find it. I'm gonna put it at the top, which is probably not where I would put it, but put Azure off bit
You
there.
got $12,000 in parking tickets.
Yes, in like a week or something,
Yeah.
like straight away. All right. So what do I do when we hit this? We're not going to actually need to render a template, are we? We're going to like do some processing and then redirect them back somewhere else. Yeah.
Correct.
Pretty
Yeah.
much, yeah.
Okay. So we don't need this decorator that specifies a template for it, and we do need a name though, or it's going to be hating that. So say auth, and then let's just return this. What we got.
Oh, somebody shared so Bolt shared a link with us from the UK. Somebody named their company. They registered their company name as semicolon drop table companies semicolon dash dash limited. Awesome.
Man, if that is a cybersecurity company, brilliant.
I would hire them
Yes.
immediately. It says they're an information technology consultancy. So
There you go.
Yeah, okay. I'm just gonna refresh this. Yes.
okay.
All right.
Okay.
Something happened. All right. So now what we need to do is we need to go back over here to the auth that we had when they did stuff, which is here. This bit.
Yep.
Yeah.
We have one of the viewers asking whether this will be available on GitHub at some point. Maybe we should make it module 17.
Yeah, well, you know what because this comes from the class, I'm hesitant to make it that too. So what I'll probably do is I'll probably create a branch over here, like a
Yep.
some other branch about being the Twitch stream, and then it won't really mess up the course.
Yeah.
But it'll be back in here, so people will be able to get it. So
Perfect.
yes.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll do something like that, and I'll put it just over in that thing. I'll give you guys that link. All right. This is a good sign. Yeah, not that. This is a good sign. Never mind to say that it says 404. It's not a 404. This is what we got. Mm-hmm. So now it's just got a stale title. So instead of this is what we got, this is what it did before.
Yep.
So if the arguments are not equal to the state, so this is if it's not that UUID. All right, the first line here says, this is the UUID that we said that we're looking for this user. Is that what we really got?
Yep. That way we know it wasn't a forged request.
Was it a forged request? Okay. Could we put that into a cookie instead of into like a in-memory session?
It depends on how well.
Seems like we
depends on how well you can protect the cookie from tampering. So if it's like an HTTPS secure only cookie, or sorry, if it's an HTTP only cookie, and is there any sort? Does Flask have any sort of like a data encryption capability for writing encrypted data to the cookie?
Well, what we could do is we could make it tamper-proof.
Okay.
I mean, we could bring in some. We could bring in some form of. We could bring an encryption library in and then encrypt it and store it there.
Yeah.
But
I mean, we really need it only. We pretty much need it for the round trip, right?
Okay.
Because kind of the way it would work is once we get back, once we've signed in, right?
Yeah.
You would check the state, and then we don't need the state anymore.
Can we just pass the letter A and see if they also pass an A? No, just kidding. So let's just set up session then. I think that's probably going to be easiest.
Yeah, because it really is only for the duration of the round trip. So yeah, even if it's like an in-memory session, since we're talking about single server here, that would be fine. Or yeah, if you want to put it in session on disk or something, that would be
exactly. Let's just do that. Yeah, that seems because that's what they're already doing, and like let's just roll with the flow, and if we could think of something better.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now the other thing would be
like, for example, we could put in the database and associate it with, I don't know. There's options that we could do, right? But let's just put it in there. So I'll just go create, instead of just jamming it into the main. I guess we can just put in a function over here. So in this little configure thing, we can do a setup session with 2 S's server. So what do we need to do there? We needed to set some variables on our config, I believe. Let's see. We're going to need to use the Flask --session. Like that. I'll click the button this time to see if magic happens. It does. Okay. Nice. So that worked. So then over here we say session, which comes from Flask session, and then we can see what goes in there. If I hit the right. That's it. I thought I hit it right. There we go. So we pass in the app. It's going to need the app, yeah. So
the actual app, right?
Which is a Flask. Well, let's do it like this. Flask.Flask. Not that it really matters, but I love to pass types over so you can say, well, what's here, right? Python sort of lacks that a lot of times, so if you use the type hints, then it makes it happy. Oh, it didn't like it.
So quick question: is there an equivalent to like an npmi? Like, can you just install a package without having a requirements.txt file, or do you have to put it in requirements.txt?
Yeah. No, you can totally do it. I could just go over here and say pip install.
Okay, pip install Flask session.
And yes, exactly. The thing is that having it here makes it repeatable.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So it's more like it's.
Also, it doesn't.
These are all things. Yeah.
If you do pip install, it doesn't update the requirements.txt, does it?
No, but you can do things like if this is not here, but it's up here. Will this work? Come here. Now, sometimes PyCharm will say, this is, you're using something, but I don't see it in the requirements file.
Yeah.
Let me add it. But probably
Okay.
it'll like say you're kind of implicitly using this dependency that's part of your system,
Right.
and you're asking for trouble, right?
Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah.
Great. Thank you.
Yeah, it's cool. Okay, so we have this session. Let me go remind myself exactly what the session needed over here, because I just usually pass like just a unique identifier and then store everything in the database. I'm not a big fan of having sessions because you've got all the web workers and stuff to manage, but it is nice to have. Okay, so here they just pass the app, but the thing is that this has some session settings. So session type equals file system.
I think we already have that in our configuration, but go and have a look.
Oh yeah, you're right. We do have that probably.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think we pulled that over.
We did a copy paste.
But what I need to do, which I haven't done yet, is I need to do app.config.from object app config, like so. Is that the thing?
Oh.
Yeah, there it is. Okay. That's what the session looks for. It looks inside the app. And also, speaking of the app, it's unhappy that it's not receiving an app. I don't need to pass it along now that I think about it because it's global for this file. So we'll just do like so. I think that may do it, honestly. Let's see what the working directory is just again.
Robert Table says the unique identifiers are handy for error logging via services. And he goes on to name a few services, but I don't see App Insights there, so I will ignore the other services. Yeah, Sensing New Relic and App Insights.
Yeah, I have those things are nice as well. And what you can do, I'm sure that you can do with the Azure ones as well. But like for example, like Sentry, you can, if you have a user that's actually logged in, you can like. When I get an error log on my production stuff, it actually says, here's the email and the user details who encountered the error. And more than once, I've sent them a message and said, hey, I saw you had an error on the app. I fixed it. And here's what you need to do to try to do what you're doing. They're like, I was going to write you an email later today. How is this? Like, it really blows them away that like, because normally you go to a website, it crashes. You're like, well, this is crap.
Yeah.
Nobody cares, right? So yeah, those types of things are really valuable. All right, let's go back to where we were, which was
Proper logging is hard, people. Use the right tools.
Yes. Okay, this. Where are we passing the request? I think it's just flask.request. Yes, right there. I'm a fan of namespaces, as we may know. Okay, flask.redirect. Although with this many requests, I think what we want to do is say request equals flask.request. And then, yeah, that's fine.
Or redirect, right? You're not doing redirect.
Yeah, I should. Yeah.
No, it's only one actually. So you should be.
Oh, is there one? Well, then what am I doing here? There's just a lot of things that look similar.
So
there's a few requests. You know what? URL for indexes slash. All right.
Oh, you don't even have to do that? That's nice. So is that a more verbose way to do it?
It's a way to say I can go over to this function here, and not this one. Sorry, I'd have to import it from over here. But I can go to this index, and if I put like ABC or like sub app / index, like they would, whatever I put here, it would adapt.
Yeah.
But I don't know. Those kind of indirect things, I don't know. They drive me crazy. Like in ASP.NET, they also drive me crazy. Like URL for, I'm like, I've never wanted to like completely change the URL structure, and it's always a little bit in the way. So anyway, I'm just gonna put / for that because
no, we get it.
That's where it's gonna go. Yeah.
Educational stuff for me.
Yeah, no worries. All right, so this load cache thing we're gonna need. This. This we already put in the view model, so let me do. I'll just do this for a moment. There's probably a better way for us to put this together. There's probably some information we're going to want here, but and
I don't think we need any of those, do we?
no, but this cache being passed over, I don't recall us having that here. So what's?
Oh, you know what? That we don't. That's the we're building URL there. We need to build the app there. Sorry.
Oh yeah, you're right. So these are totally different.
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
so we don't need this. We just need to add this. I thought maybe we already written that function. We just need to bring this function over
Yep.
from the demo. Wow, that's some serious help we're getting there. Okay.
I thought we already had it. Maybe we didn't. I thought it was in the view model.
Yeah, it is in the view model.
This one's in there, but not the. Oh, it is.
Yeah, build
Yeah,
info
yeah,
out.
yeah. You're
Yeah.
right. Yeah, because it's being used right there. Yeah, thanks. Okay. So let's put it back. There we go. And I'm not a big fan. This underscore means sort of like semi-private, but if we're going to use it from the outside, maybe it really shouldn't be semi-private. So
Yeah, it doesn't really become private much after that.
it's, yeah, exactly. So now we can come over here and say build. What are my build things? I can build. Now the cache makes sense. Okay. We'll do like that. The app config, we just got to import into this here, this URL for authorized. This was, now this one might be relevant. We might need to somehow put a little more smarts in here, but just for this, I'm gonna do this. Which I'm gonna run in. This is the 5006.
Does it have to be fully qualified like that with a host and domain, or could you just put whack account?
I think it has to be fully qualified. Like, did you see where it said
Oh, right.
external
'Cause
equals
that's
true?
yeah, because that's the app that it's going to.
This-
Yeah.
This is the view, right? This is the view from Azure.
Right. Yeah, that's the install
Yep.
config. Yeah,
Right.
yeah.
Right. So you can do this URL for, but there's some challenges. Like if you look in the app here at the top, you can see they're doing this like proxy fix. So when you run Python apps in production, it's not like IIS, which handles both the front end and the worker processes. There's like a front end server and the worker processes, and the
Right.
front end server is usually Nginx or something like that.
Yeah.
And it knows it's like not in debug mode, and it's got this full domain name, but the thing behind usually still sees the request as localhost. So this allows it to know that it should prefix it with external stuff and so on. But
Okay.
we're not going to be pushing this to production for now, so I think we can just go like with this.
Okay.
Because in
All right.
production, it wouldn't be localhost, it would be some domain name or IP address, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm pretty. And there's environment stuff, right? Like you can still access environment.
Yeah.
So if you were publishing,
Yeah, absolutely.
okay, so you could put this in a variable on a server and put it in here.
And well, even more like this, like down here, you can see it's being run in like a debug mode or not debug mode, and
Yeah.
like the app has debug mode. So you could queue off of is it in debug mode or production mode. There's a lot of stuff that you could figure out what URL to put there.
Yeah, okay.
Anyway,
Okay.
so we got to do a couple things here with these auth errors, and this is we'd have to go and potentially create another HTML template to say that there was an error logging in. I feel like, and I think the auth error, if we go look, I'm pretty sure the auth error was just printing out there was an error, you know.
Yeah. And you'll get that back.
So-
From, you'll get that back from B2C too. You'll get the error and the error description.
Yeah. So just for expediency's sake, would you all be happy with this? Like return.
Yeah.
Can you get the? Could you get the variables out of the request here and put those in there?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, because they're really two. There's
Yeah.
error and error description.
Yeah. Yeah, and if we want to do it like that way, we could say, oops, that's not where that was supposed to go. What was error?
And the other one's error
Like that.
underscore. So if a double underscore is a dunder, what's a single underscore? Asunder?
It doesn't have a name. Asunder. Well, Asunder would have to have it like this. I think that would be Asunder.
No. Asunder was a terrible movie from the 90s.
Was it?
Apparently, it got 5 stars on IMDb. Sorry, 5 out of 10 on IMDb.
Hey, that's not horrible. 5 out of 10
it could be worse.
is watchable. Yeah.
Well, it's got Blair Underwood in it, and I don't know. It doesn't look like it'd be very good. Anyway, it doesn't really matter.
All right, so let's put that one.
Does it have Jake quitting?
This up here. Our view model base really should be getting that, but okay. So we've got a few more pieces to add. We've got a slightly less fancy error page. It's just pure strings, but hopefully we don't see that very much. And I guess the next thing we need to do is get this session here. All right, so let's go back and see what's up with this session. Where are you authorized? Take me to your session. Hold on, it must be getting imported up here. Yeah, from Flask, import session. Cool. So I could just do that here. Now we've got our session. Good. Load cache. And this one, what it's doing down here, where's load cache? So we're going to need these two. So there's like this storing the token cache in the session. Or either deserialized it. I feel like there's probably a better place to store this, but anyway, we'll go with this. It seems like a piece of infrastructure being stored in the session, which is odd to me, but let's make. I'd rather put those some places rather than just jam it all into that one file. Okay. And now that we're using them somewhere, they don't want to be basically semi-protected. So session cache. All right. So let's go over here and we'll say session cache. Now you see why there's so many files in my project here. Mm-hmm. Okay. We'll say .load. Mm-hmm. .save. Cache. All the red stuff is gone. It's going to work now.
Nice.
Wait a minute, so this is session cache save. So we're saving. Oh, we're saving the cache we loaded. Okay, got it.
Yeah. So basically, it will dynamically come up with this one, and it says if it's already there, it's going to deserialize one out of the session.
Yep.
And then it's going to store, like when you say save, it's going to serialize it into the session. And it just seems like, I don't know, that could be...
It operates in itself, which is a little bit weird.
Well, the thing about MSAL cache is that you don't have to do an implementation of the cache. You just have to implement the persistence of it. So MSAL, that's how MSAL handles it. Because if you had to go implement a full cache on your own, it would be a ton of work. Now, there was one more thing it looked like. If you go back to the page we were just on, or the code we were just in, so there's that user. Well, let's see. Result get ID token claims. Where's that coming? That's out of the result? Oh, that's out of the... Okay, that's fine. We'll see if it works.
So, all right. So what we need to do, like this...
I just wonder where ID token claims came from. Is that coming out of something that's handling the cache?
So this is the result. Where's result? Result is... Yeah, it's coming out of the cache, acquire token for authorization code. That's way more help than I want.
Okay, and in the other
Here,
code,
let's put a breakpoint.
Okay, yeah, in the sample code, was there anything that was manipulating that ID token claims up front?
I don't think so.
Okay,
I can look, but I just took it verbatim from there.
That's cool. That's cool.
I have no idea how to do this part. I'm just following along.
Okay.
but you guys are here to help me, and we'll make this Flask stuff go. It'll be good.
Cool.
Yeah.
All right.
So, yeah.
Cool.
All right. So I think this is probably good.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but this is just what it did before. So it's just grabbing it straight from the response that it's getting from here.
So the other
Yep.
one would be like when the user used to sign in before with just like the password user and password database, you would write a cookie, right?
Yeah, exactly. So I'm still going to need to do something to that effect, or I'm going to need to check something or other.
Yeah, because we don't want the user to go back to B2C every time they click a link
Exactly.
or refresh the page.
Yeah, so what we would do is like here you can see somewhere in the login bits, like here. I suppose we'll do those two things.
Yeah, I mean, we could just do that, right?
Yeah.
Yep. That's kind of that tends to be the pattern we see most is use the external provider and then immediately hook into whatever your framework of choice has available for signing in a user, and that way you don't have to deal with setting your own cookies and manipulating all that sort of stuff. At that point, now the user's signed into your app, and the fact that
Exactly. That was what I
matter.
was thinking. Is we'll just use the same session logged in mechanism.
Yep.
Once we get past this step. So the one thing though we need to look at though is if they're new, we've got to generate a user for them. And if they're not new, I need to find them. I need to do like user service dot find user by email.
Yep.
Something.
Okay,
right. So we got to do a tiny bit of work so that I can set this to a meaningful deal here.
Okay.
But let's just do this. Not yet. Let's do it after. Down here, I'll return, yay, you logged in as, and let's do, here's a cool thing that you can do in PyCharm. You've got your F strings, which are like your interpolated strings in PyCharm and C#. So if you go like this though, but you stay a variable and you pick it, it automatically converts it to an F string.
Check that out.
Sweet. Yeah. That's pretty slick. When's VS Code getting this, you guys? Come on. All right. So
we accept pull requests.
Exactly.
Is that not the open source answer to everything?
Yeah, I know some of the people working on it. I'll send them a message. No, I'm sure they're busy working on all sorts of good stuff. No, so here, I think this will at least let us know, hey, we would have sent you somewhere logged in as this, and we'll figure out how to get the right information out of this in a minute.
Sure.
Cool. Does that make sense? So let's just try it with all our fingers crossed and see what happens.
I have every confidence in our code.
Oh, yeah. How could this go wrong? Okay. Log in. I'm already logged in. I probably am. Oh, what had happened? They took me back. Well.
Do we hit a breakpoint? Okay.
I wasn't running the debugger, but it's not looking terrible.
So we have something.
Is that a token?
Looks like it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think this might have gone better than I expected. All right. Do I need to do? I could just hit this again because it knows I'm logged in. I don't really need to log in again, right? What just happened? Okay, hold on. I'm gonna start stepping. So yeah, I got some immutable state back. Okay. That's sweet. Here's our UUID that we passed in.
Yeah.
Very nice. And
we expand this out. Here's our code, so that's a good deal. So we're stepping down.
Yep.
So now, it's the state's not matching.
Oh.
This is what's happening.
Okay.
What's my session stat? It felt so good for a minute, but it's not that far off. Yeah, so the state is none. Where were we setting the state?
Did we set the state?
We didn't. There was some point where we were setting the state.
Is that what we're doing in the request the login URL builder?
Yeah, I believe so. Let's see. So this thing, the URL. So go over and say you're going to log in, and then during the login requests, Then we send them over there.
Yeah.
Okay, so what I'm wondering...
build auth URL. Yeah.
Yeah.
On 35. So when we generate that build auth URL, that's when we're getting this session ID out of state. Or sorry, that's when we're putting it in there, and then we put that value in to the URL on 35.
Yeah, I'm just wondering where the best place to plug that into our existing app is going to be. Do you think? So what if this takes us to a local URL that sets that state and then does the redirect?
Yeah.
Would that make sense?
That's absolutely valid.
You've got a login page,
Okay.
right? That used to take a username.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, so maybe instead of taking a username and password, it just auto redirects once it's ready.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, exactly. That's what I'm thinking. So let's just go. I'll keep this in the Azure. Let me grab a little bit from here. I could stay in the same area. All right, so we're going to do a begin auth. And what it's going to do is it's going to do all the magic. It's going to say session of state equals. What one were we using? I think UUID 4. Let's. Yeah, okay, that's the right one. Don't want to. Perfect. I need that library. Good. And then what we did up here is we said we just want to go there.
Yeah, then we'll just redirect.
So this is just going to be /account/begin auth. And over here, we'll return flask.redirect there.
Yep.
And I need another view model. I'm starting to regret putting this stuff in here, but that's fine. Because this is kind of doesn't really make sense. Like, I don't know, maybe it does.
So,
and it takes state equals, let's do a little magic here. Okay.
All right.
Are we feeling all right about this?
I think so, yeah.
Yeah.
It's looking pretty good.
Yeah, so it's going to set it there, and then it's going to go a round trip. All right, I'm feeling like this might be better. We may have celebrated a little early, but this is... Oh, it didn't like that. Hold on. What is wrong with it? The debugger's always sort of hides the error. Oh, yeah. Okay, no problem. Dun, 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 dun. Nope. This one? This one? This one? Take me where I want. Fine. You know, I could just go click right there. The problem is... This is super annoying to me about Python. Like, there's a lot of things that are clean and easy and smooth about Python. This isn't one of them. So,
okay.
I think every language and every framework comes with its pros and cons, right? So you have to live and learn around them.
So when I write code like this, like def method pass, this is the equivalent to going basically like there's a dictionary, which is the globals, and going globals of method equals that implementation, right? And then when you call it, it pulls it out and runs it. But there's nothing to stop me from doing this, where you change it. So basically, what happened is that name defined auth,
right,
and then that name renamed
it.
And there's no error. Like, dude, you just wrote the same function twice and erased it out of the file.
Nice.
Wow.
Right. But Flask at least says, whoa. You can't be putting two routes to two different pointers that have the same name, basically.
Yeah.
So Flask saved us there. But that's what that error was. Okay. Super annoying. All right. We refresh. We begin auth. We wait. We accept the delay. And it's done.
Look at that.
Yes.
Nice.
What just happened?
Nice.
All right, so here's what we need. We need emails. I'm just gonna jam that down here for a sec, and then I think I keep bemoaning the fact that this view model thing is getting abused. I think we need to switch that to something proper here in just a sec. But sort of do a little factoring on this. So where's my is new? Is it up here somewhere?
You're not new anymore.
Darn it, I'm not new.
So you don't have it.
And I'm also logged in already. Right.
You've got an OID too. You may want to store that OID. And since
okay.
Object,
okay,
that's
where's
the object
my
ID.
yeah, I see. There it is.
Yep.
Looks like so.
That's sort of the true immutable ID of the user. Will never change, regardless of what they do, as long as they don't delete their account.
Right. Well, I'm not going to let them edit their profile, so we'll be fine. No, just kidding.
A one-time chance. Choose wisely.
That's right. Are you sure? Confirm this, please. All right, let's try this. Let's go over here. And let's try log in or register.
We've got applause all around, by the way, in the chat.
Woo! Yeah. Thank you, everyone.
Yes. We need to figure out.
Right.
We got to figure out how to get our. We got to figure out how to get all of our graphics and stuff to like cause things to like fall from the top of the screen, like all the other real streamers out there.
That's right.
Yeah, we're fake streamers for now. We just it's like we're doing a Teams call inside the stream. We don't have all the fancy things that we should be doing.
Robert tells us this is user retention, right? You can
change your profile.
It's Hotel California style identity systems. You can come in, but you can never leave.
Yeah, I mean, dude, you can tell the VC people when you're doing your pitch, the churn is zero.
Yeah, we've had literally zero cancellations ever. We have 92 billion accounts because when people don't like it, they go create a new one to get another trial. When they need to change their email address, they have to go get a new account.
Exactly. Yeah. If you don't even do the reset password, they'll do even better on user growth.
Yeah. That's right. Oh man.
All right. So now I'm going to use the fancy Gmail trick and put a plus. So we got unlimited user store here coming along. And my password, what am I going to try? We'll try that. Darn. There's not enough A's. Hold on. I'm going to use the same password again.
Keep it simple.
That's right.
It's a security feature. Just reuse the passwords.
Yeah, exactly. Okay. We're going to send the verification code. We're going to open Chrome in the other tab like we did it way earlier. I feel like it was a long time ago. We've made a lot of progress. I have new emails, one from Microsoft on behalf of this app. And it has now a code with many zeros. Oh, how sweet would it be if it came back with all A's? Okay, verify. All right, I got one shot at this to figure out what the field is. Go. Wait for it. Yes, okay.
Yes.
This is what. There we go. Now, somewhere, OID auth time.
New user is right after your email.
User is true, right there. Perfect. Okay, and it comes back as a truism. So this, I feel like these are really all. Oh, we also need these two things because I actually asked for that when I register the users. I think we might be able to actually do this here. Okay, so now all we got to do, besides fix the things that we've done wrong to abuse my architecture here, like move some of the stuff to some of these services or fix up the view models, is we just need to create the account and log them in. So instead of saying yay, as much fun as that was, I want to say if, but let's get the details. So email is, where does this come from? It came from the result. Result.get emails. And let's say if they don't get one, none. So I can bracket 0 that. So if there's not in there, I'm going to get a list that contains the string none, which is what's going to come back when I get the 0th one. Okay, that's our email. We, in a minute, can set the OID on our account, but currently if we look at a user, the user class here, we've got our ORM model that doesn't have a place to store the OID, but we could store it, but that's going to be some database migration, so let's not do that for the moment.
Can we store it in the ID, or is it auto increment only?
I think it's an integer, isn't it?
Yeah, it's an integer.
Oh.
It's an integer that's getting like parts. It's an integer all throughout the app. Like if I was doing this from scratch, that very well may be the user ID, right? If this was fundamentally baking this in, right? But because we're retrofitting.
Yep.
All right. Next is new user. It's going to be result.get new user. So then we're going to need that. And then we're going to have...
well, this can also be null, by the way, because if you log in the first time... And what happens if new user returns empty? Is it just new user will be empty? Or is it going to
It's going to return the default, which right now is like so. It's equivalent to that.
Right.
So it's not going to be false. I could say false, but in Python, it's there's
okay.
I'd have to do like and or sir or nothing like that. You can optionally give it a type if you want, but it's not required.
Okay.
So yeah. What are we doing here? We're not passing up parameters. Okay. Next parameter is the email, which we're using there, and the password is the letter A. No. I'm gonna just do a stir uuid.uuid4 like that. Just a GUID equivalent. They don't have a password. This is how they log in. Else. This gets a little more complicated. Let's do a little bit of just to be sure. Find user by email. If not user, return. Yikes. No user. No user with email.
Well, would that not just be a new user?
Well, but it also said they're not new. But it said that they're not new.
So if new user, store it, else.
I guess that's true. I mean, some of it depends too. Like since we're retrofitting an old app, you would have lots of users who would show up as new who are not actually new, right?
Yeah.
So
yeah. Okay. So let's actually reverse this. It won't let me reverse it. So if let's just do a
user. Yeah. Exactly.
Let's just go. You know what? If we've got go if user. Then we just want to them in. Yeah. We're just going to go auth cookie auth dot set auth. What goes in here?
The user ID.
Yeah.
What's the response? I wonder.
Yeah, it's. Let me look here. I think I've got to create a redirect response, and then set the cookie on that response. So yeah. I forgot. It's been a little while since I wrote that code. So we do this, and then we return the response over here. So if there is a user, just log them in. This part's fine. So if there's a new user.
Well, if not user, I would say here, right? Then you need to create them.
Yeah.
Yeah, we may not even have to really worry about the new user claim because it is a retrofitted system. So
right.
Yeah.
It's getting retrofitted. So you're right. I think actually.
See you later, Bobby Tables. Hope we see you Friday. We'll be around.
Oh yeah. Okay.
All right, guys. What do you think? So, if we find a user, great. If not, we're just going to create them. Either way, at this point, we have a user. We're logging them in, and the login is part of the redirect over to there. Yeah. And you're right that you can see PyCharm says we're not using this variable, so it's out. As much as it's fun to celebrate, let's drop those. I'll leave the OID just for a minute so we know what that looks like. I was messing around. This we don't need. Believe. All right. Whew. Unrolled a bunch of junk, and let's give it a try. See if I can log in. Okay. Notice that this says log in a register, which only is shown if I don't have an account.
Yep.
So if I hit the begin auth, we wait. I'm not sure what's going to happen. This may or may not go well.
I'm on pins and needles.
Taking a while.
I know.
Is it like, does it have to spin up?
Am I running in the debugger? Yeah.
Just connecting to the database. That's good. Right. Is it creating users? Is it searching databases?
Oh, we got it back. Here we go.
Look at that.
None and none. But hold
Hey
on.
there, none.
That is not terrible.
No.
None.
So what if you click on account? Oh, you're in account already. Never mind.
I'm in account. But now I see. Now I'm logged in.
Yeah.
Like
It says
zip,
account, right? None though. Why?
But I need to figure out what user I'm in. So let's go back. Let me log out. All right, log out works. That's cool. Let's just put a breakpoint here. I must have maybe these were slightly different variables or something.
Or maybe you use the at whatever email. The the dummy email. Maybe that's why it didn't work.
Yeah, perhaps. Let's see what I'm doing here. Yeah. All right, try again. Stop moving my link. Feel like I got a lot of tabs going on. Okay, hold on. Okay. Step. Mm-hmm.
Kick. Step.
Mm-hmm.
Kick. Step. Kick.
Exactly.
Kick.
Very bad at dancing. It would be kick, step, trip. All right. So, error is not there. Okay. What is result? Result has stuff. Result is a dictionary which has things in it.
ID token claims.
Yep.
Okay, cool.
Mm-hmm.
Why should I look in claims? Maybe?
Yeah, that's where they are.
Yes.
That's it.
Sorry. Yep.
So
It's
I was going to
there,
ask
okay.
about that, whether you can actually
Yeah.
reference a variable inside the dictionary, because you're looking at
Okay.
the top level, right?
I see what you were asking before. Yeah. Okay, that was a super good question. Yeah.
So that'll be result get name ID token claims dot whatever. How would you do it?
Yeah, no worries. So we got this. So we got I just do claims with an M equals. I write it in like reverse Polish notation, so we'll go like this: results. There we are.
And that's
And then just
equivalent to
speak claims.
result.get, right? Just you're using the
Yeah. This is
array accessor.
Yeah, this would. Yeah, so this would crash, whereas this would return nothing, like none of it's
Oh,
there.
okay.
Right. So this is like a hard, like it must be there, or we're going down, sort of thing.
Yeah.
And I don't necessarily like that, but I don't know. I felt inspired to write it that way. Okay, and we try again.
I have a positive feeling.
Feeling good about this
I
one.
do too.
Oh,
What just happened?
look at that.
All right, log out.
Yeah.
Log in. Wait for it. Yeah,
Nice.
that's pretty rocking.
That's awesome.
You want to create a new user?
Yeah, let's go to a new one.
All private window.
And you know what? At the nick of time, by the way, like with 2 minutes to spare on the stream, we managed to get everything working.
It's funny how it all comes together like that.
Oh yeah. Oh look here! I already have my other one logged in. I said MKennedy2. So
That's
I'm gonna
nice.
log this one out, and then this one over here. We're going to. Oh, I also during logout, I need to log out of my
log out of
B2C.
B2C.
You need to delete the cookie, right?
Well,
Yeah, I am deleting the cookie.
yeah, you need to delete
But
your
when
cookie.
I log back in,
And-
the other thing thinks that I'm there.
Yeah, you're getting.
So hold on.
You're getting SSO back.
That's down here. This is log out. So session clear. That doesn't matter. Maybe it matters because it looks like. Oh no! This is what I need. This is what I need to do, right?
Yep.
I need to do this redirect.
Well, that session clear too, though, right? Because that token cache is in there. We don't want that to persist.
Right. Yeah.
So
Okay.
we need to
Got
pave
it.
the session.
All right. So. All right. Let's do log out.
Right.
We combine our powers. Okay. The redirect thing is going to be. Oh, where's the F string on this magic? Okay. It should be. Oh, wait. It doesn't need to be an F string. I'm going to hard code it. HTTP ://localhost 506. This is where I'm going to land, right?
Yeah, this is where you're going to go
it.
after you sign out. So yeah.
All right, and this will be.
And the thing is too, like this is optional because some people really like this behavior and other people don't like it at all. Especially if they've got like 25 apps that they use and that are all part of B2C. Like if you've got a whole suite of apps, you may not want to redirect the user to log them out of B2C, but you may want to log them out to just your app for one reason or the other.
Yep. All right, let's see if I can combine these correctly. So I'm going to create a redirect result, and I'm going to tell my cookie auth to make part of that response redirect to be also kill the cookie. Then I'm going to do this. Then I'm going to just go there. All right, I think that might be the way these two things come to live together. Let's try. We're going to do that. Go to my private. Okay. Here I'm logged in. I go to the account. I log out. It doesn't crash. I log in.
Now you're back at B2C. So now what happens when you sign up?
Sign up as a third person?
Mm-hmm. Here, I'll give you an email address if you want to use it. Just use Mailinator. Which is
I've got my what did I put it in here? Doesn't really matter. I can just type it. So I got this one plus sample 3 or whatever. Mm-hmm. That way I can get it back. Send me that verification code. Hold on. Wait for it. Yeah, got it. Okay. My verification code might be my password too. Just use it. No. I'm good at
Hunter 2.
Hold on. Go.
Yeah, the fact that I can't hit the start menu in Windows and type "give me a new GUID" and it doesn't give me one is really upsetting.
I agree.
Okay, so now Michael Kennedy is here, and you are in that database, right?
Yeah, we should be.
Nice.
Let's go over to our database. Open this up here, PyCharm.
What?
Oh, it allows you to
awesome.
mess with. Yes.
Love it.
That's sweet. We go to our users.
We should see Michael Kennedy 3.
And probably at the bottom. There it is.
Check that
Nice.
out. Mr.
Oh, yeah. Here you can see our password. None. Yeah, you see no profile image. But yeah.
Sweet.
Very nice.
Mr. None. We're going to remove them from the database.
Why?
Yeah.
I like to have an honorary position.
I love it.
All right, how's that?
That's awesome.
That's cool.
That's amazing.
Yeah, that's pretty neat.
So, in 3 hours, with 2 clowns bugging you the whole time.
Yeah. And me literally knowing nothing about
But granted, you know a few things about Python, but yeah.
But not about the whole flow of this stuff. Like, this is all new to me.
Yeah,
right?
no, that's awesome. I love it.
Like you guys just guided me through figuring out how to take these ideas and turn them into Python.
Nice. That's awesome. I love it.
Yes.
Well, cool. Well, thanks for hanging out with us today, and make sure you hook us up with that repo when you're finished. If you get a chance to make a branch for it, make sure you let us know. I
will make a branch. It'll just be I'll just put it in the same place.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. So it's going to be at this github.com, talkpython, data-driven-web. Easiest way, just go to talkpython, github.com/talkpython, and just type Flask.
Okay, cool.
Nice.
Yeah.
Right. It's that one.
All right.
Right, and it'll be a branch like the Twitch stream, something. It'll be over there.
Okay.
Yeah. Perfect.
This is awesome. I love it. And we've got
Yeah,
like and if there anything, as you're working through with people, if it ever comes up, somebody says, "Hey, what are my alternatives to using a password database?" Well, now we have one, and you can still use your password database. You just don't store passwords in it. And then if somebody steals it, it's not that big of a deal.
Yep. That is correct.
You could even do both, right? Like,
Yes.
Like you can see, I could come if I didn't wreck my login form, I could still log in with the old login.
That's right.
And I could log in with.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. And there are all sorts of ways too. Like in B2C, there are more advanced ways to do different things. But one of the things you could do too would be to expose your password database as an API, and B2C will check passwords against
not
that
little
database.
Bobby Table style, but like different.
Yeah, preferably not Bobby Table style, but
just kidding.
Yeah,
no, but there could be like a service that you could call and just have like 2 services you call or something like that,
and
right?
B2C can even call your database for you to check credentials, like for an old password, for an old password database. So there are all sorts of neat ways to do it. So, but I like this. Like, we didn't have to spend a ton of time in B2C. We had to spend most of the time in the code, which is kind of where developers want to be, right? Not configuring things. They want to be building what they need to build. So that was cool. So
very cool.
Well, thank you, Mr. Kennedy. Appreciate it. And
Thank you, guys.
We'll make sure to share some links. Make sure you send them to us, because we'll write up a blog post later today, sort of covering everything that we did, and then anything you want us to share or anything you want us to let people know about, we'll make sure you let us know. We'll send out the good word.
Yeah, sounds good. Sounds good.
All right. Well, we are back Friday. We don't have a show on Thursday because we're moving to Mondays and Fridays. So Thursday we'll be back. Or sorry, Friday, 11 a.m. Eastern, 8 a.m. Pacific. We'll be back. We'll be here on 425 Show. We'll also be on Microsoft Developer. If you have any questions, concerns, issues until then, feel free to ping us on Twitter, email, whatever. Let's go find somebody we can go plow into.
Great. Yeah.
Visual Studio's on. I guess we'll go to Visual Studio. Although Python has nothing to do with Visual Studio, but that's okay.
I can do Python in Visual Studio.
Yeah. There's even Python tools for Visual Studio, like old school proper Visual Studio. You can integrate some Python stuff into there.
Wasn't there like Iron Python too?
Yes, Iron Python is
like a .NET
what an
DLR.
interesting thing.
Yeah. All right, everybody. See ya. Thanks for hanging out.
Bye.